Okay, today's show, we are going to get into pumping iron. Okay, pumping iron. If you do not have this book, go to Amazon now. Add pumping iron to your cart and check out. Again, if you do not have pumping iron, if you do not have pumping iron, if you do not have pumping iron, this book is growing on me. I know how I go through phases, right? How I go through phases with certain books. This book right here, you can see the cover is starting to get a little beat up. Yeah, the cover is starting to get a little beat up on this one. I've been rocking out with this. And I've been doing like little. So let me tell y'all something that goes on in my life, right? People that know me in person, like I don't have the it's starting to happen in my neighborhood now. I've been like Clark Kent for a long time over here. You know what I'm saying? I've been like Clark Kent, but it's starting to like, yeah, people are starting to be like, hey. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, usually I can, and this is kind of what I'm hoping you guys are at home doing. Like, not necessarily trying to talk to people just on the fly, right? Don't try to talk to people on the fly. Talk to people out of a book. Like literally, these are our tools, our weapons. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was a gang, if you was in the street, you would have to have your Draco. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was an officer, you'd have to have your bulletproof vest, your mace, your gun, your badge. You know what I'm saying? Like if you was a doctor, you'd have to have your. You get the point, right? So you have to have your book. You know what I'm saying? You like a Jehovah's Witness. You like an Inky's Witness, right? Not, you got to be able to, you know what I'm saying? And. So sometimes I'll judge, like a book's effectiveness by how useful, how randomly useful, like how I can utilize it on the spot. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it's been a rough one. I got robbed yesterday. I definitely need the support. I got robbed yesterday. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole story. So yeah, So definitely, by all means, Patreon, website, Amazon, Cash App, Super Chat, tie a few dollars to a pigeon. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that part. Yeah. Got robbed yesterday. So, all right. We're going to get into this video, right? We're going to get into this video and I don't know. I've been having a lot of reaction video requests. I just, it's probably the only thing that I've been ignoring from the Patreon folks. I can't answer everybody at once, but, I've been getting a lot of requests to do more reaction videos. So today we're going to do a double header. Because I've been on my weight loss. Journey. Because y'all know I'm a fat boy at heart. So, I have issues. Right? I'm working on me, but I definitely have issues. And it's very easy. So here's the thing about addiction. Let me say this, because I beat a few addictions. I beat a few addictions. Porn, alcohol, cigarettes. I don't know if I can call marijuana an addiction, but I guess I could add that to the list. But food has been the worst. Food has been the roughest. Food is the biggest op. Because I am a fat boy. So, before even Amber's situation, you know what I'm saying? Like Amber's situation made people respect me. Amber's situation made it like, like how you drive on the highway and on the other side of the highway, there's a car accident. So people slow down and start looking. Like Amber's situation made it that, right? Up until then, I was just doing like weird stuff as far as people was concerned, because I would take a garbage bag, poke holes in it for my arms and my head, go to the park in a garbage bag and just stuff like that, right? But I'm a fat boy at heart, right? So unchecked, like if I fall off a little bit, I fall off a lot. I remember in Philly, I gained 40 pounds in like just a little over a month. I put on 40 pounds like that. Because at the time, I had never, I hadn't experienced good, I ain't even gonna say good vegan food, because good is perspective based, right? So I'm not gonna say good vegan food. I'm just gonna say until I moved to Philly, and this is early 2000s. So this is definitely 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that, right? But until I moved to Philly, I hadn't experienced vegan options. So now in 2025, people may not understand that. Because if people are trying to go vegan now, there are options everywhere, including the supermarket. But it was me, my work, my promo, my team that influenced America partially, not alone, but partially to have this vegan revolution, right? We drove the supermarket chains crazy. When I say drove them crazy, I'm talking about on their websites, in the stores, talking to the managers, requesting, certain vegan, meats and desserts and all kinds of stuff. So, and then we drove other people crazy to start lighting a fire under other people. And we did nationwide fast and global fast. And we really went crazy with the vegan mafia and all of those different things. And then somebody actually stole our vegan mafia thing, trademarked it for t-shirt. It was crazy. It was crazy. But the thing is, and that touched thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? But it literally started with me being a fat boy, like, you know, because my journey really started with the hardcore, like how we would compare boxers back in the days to boxers nowadays, like bare knuckle guys. Like that's how it started. You know, our food. Now this is me and the children. And at the time, I don't even have all of these children. I don't have the twins. I don't have either pair or either set of twins, right? It's Ari, it's Tony, it's Amber, and Chase is the little one. Do we even have Chase yet? No, we don't even have Chase yet. Chase is in his mama's stomach. Yeah, Chase is in his mama's stomach. Chase was developing on this diet. Chase was developing on this diet. So it was cabbage, kale, quinoa, rice, oatmeal. Cabbage, kale, quinoa, rice, oatmeal. Period. 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 Every so often, we'll spice it up with some mushrooms, you know, maybe some fried mushrooms, you know what I'm saying? Every so often to give it that fried chicken feel, you know, but that was it. I mean, literally, that was it. The only other thing going on the grocery shopping list is like, you know, like peppers and onions to chop up and, you know, add to the dishes. That was it. Like literally, that was it. Every single day, day in, day out. You know what I'm saying? Now there's 3 or 4 different types of kale. You know what I'm saying? There's 3 or 4 different types of kale. You know, you got green cabbage, purple cabbage. You know, yeah, a couple of different types of quinoa. You know, we really stuck with the brown rice and the black rice as much as possible. Yeah, it was a lot of brown rice though. Brown rice is, you know, but brown rice is cheap, so there's a lot of brown rice going on. A lot of brown rice was going on. Black rice get crazy, so we did. Wasn't a lot of black, you know. Black rice was, you know, we was working with the black rice as best we could. You know what I'm saying? But this is a family. You know what I'm saying? So black rice was. I don't even know what black rice is doing now. I know back then black rice was sky high, right? Sky high, right? Quinoa was cheap back then. Quinoa was cheap back then because quinoa wasn't, you know, it wasn't the go-to back then. Back then, it was the thing on the shelf collecting dust. The supermarkets was happy, you know what I'm saying, if you was going in there to you know, because they couldn't even drop it on sale. Some items, even if you lower the price, they don't sell. It's just no demand for it. So, you know, all that said to say, right, me having a leg injury back in January, right? That's like all I needed. That was all I needed to. That was all I needed to just collect me a little tire. So I have a definite before and after picture coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping by like early July, I can show the before and after picture because I'm still not at the after yet. Right? I'm working on the after. But my February picture, I almost wanted to cry looking at that picture. So it is what it is. I'm on my grind. The beauty is once you have the blueprint, You know what I'm saying? Once you have the blueprint, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to just, I ain't gonna say it's easy. It's not easy. It's never easy, right? But once you have the blueprint, it's just a matter of finding your motivation and then going through the motions, period. It's not a matter of how, right? It's just finding your motivation and going through the motions. And in alignment with, you know, like this mind pump, that we're going to go through a mind pump video. Somebody sent me that video and asked me some specific questions, right? So that's why we're going to react to that video. But the Will Tennyson video, that video popped up on my timeline. And when I watched like the first half, I haven't really seen the whole video of either one of these videos. So some of this stuff we're going to watch for the first time together, some of these clips. But yeah, when I seen the timeline and then I watched the first part of it, I was like, oh my God, this guy right here. This guy right here, you know what I'm saying? 700 plus pounds. And he somehow, like, I don't know, he just is motivational. You know what I'm saying? He was just motivational. So I was like, you know what? We're going to put both of these guys' videos. We're going to put both of these videos together. And we're going to have us a nice, good, you know what I mean? Having a hard time finding the research about harmine and beta cells. Are you looking inside of our books? Yeah, you just need to get the books. Yeah. Hey, Damani, what you mean? Well, but you must be missing. Listen, y'all got to get these books. I don't know what y'all got going on. Y'all have to get these books. You're like, Doc, I'm behind on some of these books. You got to get these books. You got to catch up. You have to catch up. You have to get the books. Like, it's just no way around it. Okay, ginger, lemon, orange juice. Ginger, lemon, orange juice. I think that's just for the drip. That just sound like a intelligent, conscious, like that sound like a sapiosexual drink. I don't know exactly the I don't know exactly the vibe of it though. Because the lemon is going to kind of like burn some fat, but then the orange juice is going to like add the fat back on. But that sounds nice and sexy though. Ginger, lemon, orange juice. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, Paul. You there. You working. But no. I was primarily talking about Damani. Damani's like he having trouble finding some of this harmony research. I'm like, Damani, you got to get in these books. You got to get in these books. Because you see, Paul got 65 books or so. There's literally people that's in the chat, you know what I'm saying, or people that's watching these videos, they have more of my books than I do. Right? There's literally people right now with 150 Dr. Inky books in their house. You know what I'm saying? There's people that have out of print books that I just be like salivating over. Like when I used to go to Abundance Child restaurant, Abundance Child has books that I wrote 15 years ago that I don't even have. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get these books, because that's the thing about books. It seems like they're always going to be available, but they're not. And the crazy thing is, more and more information are coming out about the benefit, about the benefit. So I got to remember that. Yeah, I got to remember to write about that. Man. But listen, in the juicer though, okay, all right. But here's what you got to do. If you're going with the juicer, right, you got to try to get you some peels in there. If you're going with the juicer and you're doing tangerines or blood oranges or anything in that family, anything in the oranges, tangerines family, because I like tangerines. You know what I'm saying? I like tangerines because I eat the skin. I eat the skin. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's good to, if you're using the juicer, try to get some of that. I mean, because I guess it depends on the juicer you have. Because some juicers are better than others at getting rid of fiber. So even if you put it in the juicer, it might come out the side. You know what I'm saying? So maybe run it through the juicer and then take the stuff that the juicer gets rid of and take the juice and throw it all in the blender. Yeah. Throw all of it, all that fiber, take the juice, the fiber, throw it all in the blender, and then add something sugary to it. I don't know what you have that you add for sugary taste, but you know what I'm saying? Just like a smidgen, not going crazy. Whatever that is you add for taste, you know what I'm saying? Like just throw some of that in there, whether it could be berries, watermelon, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then you can freeze it, or you can add a bunch more ice to it and make it like a slushy, or you can add some oats to it. You can add some oatmeal to it, let the oats swell up a little bit, blend it up, and then it'd be like almost like a yogurty, ice creamy kind of texture. I don't know. You have it the way you have it. It sounds delicious already. Like you don't need to change your recipe. Like I'm here coming up here freestyling on your recipe. It sounds delicious already, right? But I haven't eaten anything this morning, so listen. You start dreaming about other folks' food. You know what I'm saying? Like how many hours I'm going on? I think dinner was somewhere around like 5 o'clock yesterday. So right now I'm approaching like 16 and a half hours. So that means melanin concentrating hormone went through the roof already. Autophagy done went through the roof, kicked in. Ketones, I'm running off ketones right now, probably. Yeah. So I'm all in your blender. Yeah, we all at Sauce House. We all in Sauce Kitchen. Like let's mind get out of Sauce Kitchen. All right, let's go. Let's go. Where should we go first? Let's do that. Okay. Computer's having a little brain freeze right now. I got too many things open on my screen. I hope the computer's not freezing or shutting down. Okay. Get rid of that. Close up that. Yeah, I had an exciting, like a lot went on with me this week. You know what I'm saying? I got robbed yesterday. You notice how I keep saying that so y'all can feel sympathy for me and send me some money. I got robbed yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Then Chase left me last weekend or this weekend that just passed. You know what I'm saying? He got he had like a scholarship to go to some, expensive whatever at Michigan State University. So he went up there for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? They trying to like, I don't know. They want my boy already. they want my boy in Illuminati already. You know what I'm saying? But he got into some smart, some smart group, some where they take you in the 10th grade and kind of like get you a little college experience for the weekend and try to like schmooze you over or whatever the case may be. And you get to meet up with like all of the top kids in Michigan State. You know what I'm saying? That's in his grade level. So whoever's got like the highest grades on their report cards or PSATs or whatever their criteria is, where they grab the smartest kids from all over the state and send them up to Michigan State for a weekend. Yeah. So he was going. I was, I didn't really. That was tough for me. You know what I'm saying? Like as a father, that was rough for me. You know what I'm saying? And then the first night he got there was a tornado scare, right? Because it was a tornado like a few towns over. So as soon as he get there, he called me on the phone from the school. Dad, we in the basement. You in the basement? I'm like, what? Like, I gotta go get my baby. What do you mean you in the basement? I'm thinking he on some get out. Like, they done really Illuminati. They done really did something to they got my boy in the basement. Come to find out, it's a tornado watch. They got to go to the storm shelter and all this and all that. It was crazy, bro. It was crazy. What you want me to do? It was crazy. So yeah, that was an emotional experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that was emotional for me. You know what I'm saying? He came back. He had a good time. He met some girl up there who's already doing pre-calculus or whatever she doing, and she got like a 1400 PSAT, so he met he met some children up there smarter than him, which was good. That was good. You know what I'm saying? Bust him, like put his feet back on the ground. You know what I'm saying? He went up there and ran into a couple of geniuses. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, that one girl though, she really put his feet back on the ground. Cause she like younger than him, but she got like a higher PSAT score. Cause he thought he was doing it for a second. He's like, Dad, it's this girl up here. He was like, Dad, it's this girl up here. She got a 1390. She did all her algebras in elementary school, and she's already doing calculus, Dad. She's on her second year of calculus, Dad. How can they do this to us? He felt like he was violated. He felt like he was violated by, you know what I'm saying, by his school now. Like, bro, you gotta relax. Your school is good, man. It's just I'm not doing enough as a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like, put it on me. I'm failing as a parent. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, apparently we should be doing calculus. You know what I'm saying? So so that's what we on now. I got to figure out how to get my man going on this calculus thing. So I don't know whether I got to try to find some, I don't know, calculus for dummies. Yeah, I gotta get some calculus for dummies or something. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get some calculus books. The dope game is just incredible. Man, come on, let's go. Peyton off the top rope. I appreciate you, man. Listen, these folks, they listen. Some of the people in the chat, they know exactly what you're talking about. But then some folks, they're gonna look at that and go, oh yeah, I gotta get those books right there. Yeah, I gotta get those books right there. Listen, the dope game special. Listen, I'm telling you, we're gonna get into this book at some point throughout the show. The Pump and Iron, but I'm telling you. Okay, now listen, look. Sauce done ordered 5 books just now. After we done violated and disrespected Sauce. Now, how I can't even say thank you enough to Sauce because we done violated this morning drink. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like hangry. You know, I'm hangry. I'm going on 17 hours. I'm going on 17 hours with nothing to eat. Nah, bro. Is the game done changed, bro. That's what I thought. I didn't think he had to get to no calculus level until later. You know, so when we was preparing for like PSATs, I'm like, well, you know, stick with what the teacher got. You know, stick with what the teachers got, and then, you know, we'll grind. And then he was asking me about trigonometry. And so that's how we kind of got the trigonometry book. The trigonometry book was partially inspired because Chase was studying for his PSAT. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he was asking certain questions. I'm like, all right, so let me simplify. And, you know, we're going, because this works for what I'm doing at the same time as what you're doing. So it just makes sense that okay. But I guess now things are shifting. You know, math is the thing that math changes. Not necessarily that the math changes, but math requirements change. Like people, this is one of the things that people have to understand. And this is good that Peyton brought up the dope game book, because your mind is hardwired for math, you know, and math is the one thing that society, like you can gauge society by school level math. It's the one thing over the last 100 years that has continued to increase because society has to move forward. So even with the effort to dumb society down, right? Because AI is not self-perpetuating yet, the math has to continue to move forward. You know what I'm saying? Because you still have to have great minds to develop the next wave of technology, right? Even if overall the goal is to dumb down the masses and get people dependent on the computers, you still have to have those minds capable of programming, maintaining, ITing, you know, creating and blah, blah, blah. So the calculus game, that's now like, it depends. You know what I'm saying? Like children don't have to really try to learn no calculus in school, but if you're trying to get to the other side of things, you got to get to that calculus, because it's going to be on them tests. It's going to be on them tests. You know what I'm saying? And if you're trying to go to school for free, if you try to get them to pay for you to go to school to think, typically black folks, you know what I'm saying? Like, we try to get them to pay for us to go to school or run and jump. Yeah, that's how we get free rides and scholarships, is running and jumping. You know what I'm saying? But if you're trying to get them folks to pay you to come think, yeah, you're going to have to splash some of that trigonometry, you're going to have to splash into some of that calculus. So that's where the private school money and the private tutors and that's where that makes a difference. Because public schools, even some of the better schools, they're not going to really have, they're not going to really offer that much. At best, your child is supposed to get like, a 900, 1,000, 1,100, you know what I'm saying? Like 1,200 and, 1,200 and up is really reserved for those other types of children. You know what I'm saying? These are the children, 1,200 and up is the children that's going to be running somebody's company somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Those are the scholarship kids. So at 1,400 and up, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's another pocket. You know what I'm saying? So bro, listen, I'm with you. We on that this summer. Like that's our new thing since he came back. Since that girl rocked his world over the weekend and he came back. That's what he on. Like, yeah, Dad, we gotta figure that out. I gotta wrestle that down to the ground. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm gonna get it with you, but we're gonna get it. I'm gonna make sure you get it. You know what I'm saying? Because calculus can take you there. Remembering all them formulas and long equations and all that, like, yeah, we're gonna try to tackle that over the summer. Nah, definitely. But the thing is, Peyton, you got an advantage because you're studying, you're getting all the books. You know what I'm saying? That's what I realized from 20 years of YouTube. I've been on YouTube since 2005 when YouTube started. And I realized, even with like DVDs and all that stuff, nothing covers the information like books. Because a person only has a certain amount of retention if you watch a video, right? First of all, there's only so much information that could fit into a video, right? Like sometimes we'll do like a 5-hour or 6-hour video and I'll be going over a book and I may only get to like 5 to 10 pages of the book. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't even, and so when a person watches a video, first of all, they may not watch the whole video because they don't have time to. And then out of what they do watch, naturally, they will only retain, in between 10 to 30%. Now, some people that have really active memory, right? Really active memory, which we're going to hope to work on, right? They may retain 40 to 60%, but that's a special group of people. That's people that are actively like working on their memory and cognition. You know what I'm saying? Like people that do push-ups every day is people that work on. But if you don't read, you don't have a strong memory. So that those things go together. Like people that don't read, they don't retain information well because your brain is weak. You know what I'm saying? So the readers have a double advantage. They're reading, so they're getting much more in. And then also they're retaining much more because their mind is stronger. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. No, bro, I can't say it enough. Like, and the scientific journals is putting out articles on this, like how weak people's brains are getting because they don't read. Like, I don't know what to tell folks. I don't know what to tell folks. And the scariest part about it is it's not something that we can really fix like that. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like how I'm talking about being a bum. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll put on, 20, 30, 40 pounds in a month. You know what I'm saying? But then I'll turn around and get myself together. Now, I'll be honest. The older I get, the harder it's getting for me to get back into shape. It's taking longer and longer for me to go from walking to running. Right? So it's not, you can't really, you got to respect it. Right? But dementia, that is not diabetes. Diabetes contributes. Alzheimer's is called diabetes type 3. You know what I'm saying? Because of its relationship to sugar, right? And that's primarily because of the A1C, glycation, right? Building up, sugar and cholesterol and triglycerides and all that stuff in the fat. Because we forget your brain is like your feet. Your brain is like your sexual organs, right? Yeah, these are extremities, right? Your circulation is here. Anything that's off the center mass of your body is an extremity, right? Anything off the center mass is an extremity, right? And so the same way we have the prayers 5 times a day, right? Where we do toe lifts and heel raises so that you can get the blood flow into your feet, right? Into all of the small muscles and everything in the feet and use the capillaries and get those things oxygenated, right? The reading, the studying does the same for your brain in a way that, audio and video cannot. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I don't know. Man, listen. Listen. This is another level. It's another level. So anyway, let's get into these videos because I could talk all day because I wasn't really I wasn't myself this past weekend. I wasn't myself. That's how I think I got robbed yesterday because I just wasn't on point. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole weekend. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get my mind right. Chases, who knows where. I don't know where. I know he was sending me pictures and texting me and all that, but I'm like the mama too. So I've developed like mom kind of neurotransmitters and hormones. You know what I'm saying? So I'm dad and mom. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was more, I guess, than my mom. I was more a mother. I was more a worried, nurturing mother this weekend than a like a secure, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I didn't have that, I didn't have the lion, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have a tiger this weekend. Now, now it's back, you know what I'm saying? I got my cubs all in the cave. Now I got all my cubs in the cave. I'm back to grizzly bear, you know what I'm saying? But, I was missing one of my cubs. I was missing one of my, I'm sorry about your eardrums, family. I'm sorry about your eardrums. But I was missing one of my cubs this weekend. So, yeah. crazy. All right, so let's go. All right, so this is not the first one, right? But this is so we're gonna, man, you see how they done went right? You see how they went right to the ad, like they done jerked me. But yeah, we're gonna review this, react to this, right? Because that guy is very inspirational. And unfortunately, like I've never been that big, but I have been like 260, 270 before. I've been scary big for myself before. You know what I'm saying? But I see a lot of myself in him. You know what I'm saying? And when I was hearing him talk, it was like I was hearing him say certain things, but his focus, I was like, okay, yeah, we gotta discuss this. Right? We gotta discuss it. But this was the video that I was sent with a whole bunch of questions
for women
from the Patreon. So we're gonna start off with this.
Well, so in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible. But you know, I've had relatives like this where they have a big belly, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you.
As I say, there's always that uncle. Everybody has that uncle who's like, feel good, feel it.
Yeah.
Mine's a cake. Yeah. Look how hard and solid it is.
That just typically means that there's lots of body fat underneath the muscle. And the data on visceral body fat shows that it's far more damaging to the body for your health than the kind of body fat that sits outside of the muscle. Now, if somebody has lots and lots of visceral body fat.
All right. So here's the thing, right? Just so you understand what the video is about. So the idea of this video is the guys are sitting around and collectively, I want to say between the three of them, they probably got about 50, 60 years of experience in terms of personal training, right? So I have had 20 years of experience of personal training. And so the video is specifically about body fat percentage. So I guess you could say like body recomp, right? Which means that whether you're trying to build muscle or lose, I guess, fat, build muscle or lose fat. I was going to say lose weight, but losing weight and losing fat are two different things, right? Losing weight and losing fat. Like for instance, I'm now transitioning. Me personally, I'm now transitioning into trying to lose fat. Yeah, I'm now transitioning to trying to lose. But the last month or so, I've been trying to lose weight. Like, period. I don't care what it is. By Malcolm X style. Like the scale got to go down. Like just get the scale down. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the number down, period. Water weight, muscle, fat, sugar, whatever. Gotta go. Fire sale. Clearance. Clearance. Everything must go. For real. But you know, it just depends on what it is that you're trying to do. So if you have a health situation and you know you need to get down, you need to get down, right? You need to lose weight, right? If you are just trying to get into your longevity bag or you just want to look a little sexier, right? depending on what state you live in, what country you live in, you know, it's getting to that time of the year where you're not going to be able to cover up all of the, you know, a little blubbery under here. You might be a little blubbery over here. You know what I'm saying? Like men, oh my goodness. The jiggly boobs is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild right now. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, you know, like cottage cheese. Woo! So, you know, it's getting to that time of year where you ain't going to be able to really hide it as much as you can during the winter time beneath your clothes. Some people don't care. You know what I'm saying? Some people do. So, you know, if you're trying to look a little better superficially, you want to come down on the fat. And then when you get down to the question of fat, now, a lot of people still have questions about they still have questions regarding the GOAT book, right? In the GOAT book, we have this discussion about the differences between Black folks and white folks, right? Particularly regarding mitochondria function, you know, cytochrome 1, cytochrome 2 preferences, right? So, National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Biochemistry, right? They've done the studies on this already. So there's a preference that Black bodies have for cytochrome 1, right? Which is sugar, right? Dopamine, right? There's a preference that white folks have, Europeans, right? Polar haplotypes, right? For cytochrome 2, which is fats, right? As such, there's a preference for fat storage. Equatorial types, Black folks, right, store a lot of fat in their skin, subcutaneous fat, right? Europeans tend to store fat, visceral fat, fat around the organs. So now when we have this discussion, right, remember we were just talking about retention a little while ago. People walk away from that discussion and go, oh, well, Inky said Black folks only keep their fat in their skin and white folks keep their fat around their organs. That's not what Inky said. No, Inky said that Black folks only use sugar and white folks only use fat. Like that's not what Inky said, right? There's just a preference. It's just a preference, right? Black folks, visceral fat, subcutaneous fat. We breaking down fatty acids and carbohydrates, all of those things, right? But when you analyze, you get to see a preference, right? Small little variations that stretch out over groups. And when you look at these small variations, it's how you find answers to questions of, you know, disease. When you look at disease models, you know, when you look at type 2 diabetes, for instance, right? Once you see that there's a difference in mitochondria respiration, right? Think about the implications, right? When you see that that's why it's important to have the GOAT book, right? If you don't have the GOAT book, go to Amazon now, put it in your cart, check out, right? But think about the implications, right? As people start to now, right? As people start to now process the idea that cancer is more centered around mitochondrial respiration than it is nuclear DNA mutations, right? Think about the fact that Black people lead in the vast majority of cancer types. we're getting the most cancer. Is that saying that white folks aren't getting cancer? No, that's not saying that everyone's getting cancer. We're just at the front of the line getting the most, right? But these unsolved questions and weird coincidences and mysteries, we can start to unravel when we dig deeper in and we go, oh, well, it's more than just us being dark. Us being dark is a result of what's going on the inside. And what's going on the inside is we have this preference for sugar. Dopamine, neuromelanin, right? Like the whole cascade of things is linked, right? And then what's the number one risk factor for Alzheimer's and dementia? Blood sugar, right? So it's like, oh, that's why we're in the front of the Alzheimer's and dementia. Once you start to narrow some of this stuff down, you start to be able to pinpoint some stuff like. And then what I'm hoping, right? This is what I'm hoping, is that as you get a stronger grasp of the information, you can start to see stuff in you, in your life. You know what I'm saying? See your weaknesses. See where you need to make changes. Be able to look at your wife, your husband, your children, your daughter. I have a bunch of children, so I'm able to look and be like, no, that's from your mama. You're gonna have to work on this. Yeah, because your mama, she was terrible with this. Oh, no, that's from your daddy. Oh my goodness, yeah, this. I'm still battling against that, so I don't even know what to tell you. Like, you just stuck with that. Let's get you used to these push-ups early. You're gonna need these. You're gonna need these. Let's just develop this habit, because I see you got the bad habit, so you're gonna need the antidote early. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Like, some of my children, they're not really on food like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have, but a couple of them, whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? You can notice it early in children. The ones that they just, the ones. Some of y'all might be them ones, and some of y'all, you might not be the ones, but the ones that whoever always, like, oh, you didn't finish yours? Oh yeah, let me get you. You got to watch him. Whoever that is, you got to start them to a habit of exercising early, because that's not about metabolism. If you have a family and everybody sits down to eat the same size meal, and that person always wants to eat theirs and whoever else didn't finish theirs, it's not about the quantity of the food. It's about the feeling. They're getting high. Don't think because they 6 years old, 7 years old, 15 years old, 2 years old even, that they're not getting high. That food is doing something besides nurturing their body, right? That food is triggering dopamine in a way that is creating a romantic relationship for them early, right? And I'm one of those children. You know what I'm saying? They used to call me the garbage disposal on Thanksgivings. Yeah, that's how we got here. They used to call me the garbage disposal on Thanksgivings, period. They already knew. If you did not finish that macaroni and cheese, that's not going to the refrigerator. Okay? Let's just, oh my goodness. God forbid you didn't finish that sweet potato pie. Just come on. Come on. So they used to call me the human garbage disposal. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I had to develop exercise habits to save my life. You know what I'm saying? People start following me at the track. I was following my uncles and older guys that I knew, but I was trying to save me. I wasn't trying to say, I didn't even think about influencing. This is before social media. I just know that once I start going out wearing the garbage bag, other folks start doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my uniform. Garbage bag, gallon of water. Hit the track. After a couple weeks, I start seeing like little Spanish ladies, you know what I'm saying? Like checking me out. Then they was wearing the garbage bags and all. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So it was a thing. It just happened generically, you know, and then years later, you know, after the Amber situation, like it. But body fat, right? So body fat percentage, very important, because a lot of people think because they're slender that they don't have weight issues, right? And so that's where you have the thing called skinny fat, right? And there are a lot of skinny fat people with the visceral fat. Skinny people with visceral fat. Listen to me when I tell you this. This is the most dangerous type of fat that there is. Skinny people with visceral fat. You almost don't even think this exists. But it exists, and it's nasty work. Listen to me. I don't even have the adjectives. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could just reach through the camera and just like grab your shirt like that and pour ice water on your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But this is a thing. Skinny people, first of all, visceral fat is just dangerous, right? But if you are visibly fat, it's not as dangerous. It's equally dangerous. But the thing is, if you can see that you're fat, you know you need to do something about it. See what I'm saying? If you're skinny and you cannot see it, oh my God. It's crazy. Let me see something real quick. Hold on. Let me see something. Let's see. Let's see if we can find us a decent joint. Okay, this looks pretty good. Look at this. Let me show you this. Look at this right here. You see this? Look at this. Do you see that? Hopefully y'all see that. Yeah, hopefully y'all see that. Do you see that? Look at that. That is somebody's heart right there. That is somebody's heart right there. That's what visceral fat looks like. Covering up somebody's heart. That's just visceral fat. Like I want y'all to see this. Like, now, remember, if you're studying, right, what do we say about fat? Right? If you're studying, what do we say about fat? Come on. Fat is an insulator, right? Fat is an insulator. Fat blocks electricity. Fat blocks electricity. Forget about all the technical, We're talking about fat producing estrogen and this, that, and the other, and vitamin. Fat blocks electricity. Your heart need electricity like your body need blood. Like your heart need electricity like you need oxygen. Forget about blood. Like, do you see this heart? This heart is smothered. So I want you to understand that right there is the toughest fat to get rid of too. So you might work yourself and diet yourself down and get to a point where you feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like you might, you start looking good. Or ladies, let me tell you ladies are the worst offenders. You ladies are the worst offenders. Especially y'all ones that think y'all cute. Because you're not doing no cardio. You're not doing no cardio. And especially with the social media thing and all this, you're not exercising. And if you are exercising, you're not making it a regular thing where you're working up a sweat every single day, making your heart beat like. That's why we're going to get into this pump and iron book, because we got to go over the numbers. We got to get into this book and go over the numbers, like the antidote. Like this book right here is the antidote for, like we got the antidote right here, right? You don't have pump and iron, go to Amazon, put it in your cart, check out, because otherwise you out here in these streets.
And they obviously carry more than say 10% body fat on them, but they're in great cardiovascular health, and have a relatively good diet and are strong, have a lot of muscle mass on them, but they may be higher in the body fat percentage. There's an example of somebody who probably has lower visceral fat and they're healthy and they don't have any of the side effects that come with the high visceral fat.
Yeah, typically. And strength training, when they compare forms of exercise for fat loss, strength training seems to have more of an effect on visceral body fat.
Has lower visceral fat and they're healthy and they don't have any of the side effects that come with the high visceral fat.
Yeah, typically. And strength training, when they compare forms of exercise for fat loss, strength
good diets and are strong, have a lot of muscle mass on them, but they may be higher in the body fat percentage. There's an example of somebody who probably has lower visceral fat and they're healthy and they don't have any of the side effects that come with the high visceral fat.
Yeah, typically. And strength training, when they compare forms of exercise for fat loss, strength training seems to have more of an effect on visceral body fat than other forms of exercise. So when you compare them head to head, and people get lean doing, let's say, cardio versus strength training, traditional strength training, traditional strength training seems to be more effective at getting rid of the visceral body fat, but it's probably because and this is the theory around it, it's probably because of the insulin sensitizing effects. One of the fastest way to get your body more sensitive to insulin is to simply build muscle. Muscle is a storage vessel for glycogen, right?
I was just going to say, this is the part where, like, this is why we went into specificity, right? I want y'all to all say that word at home, specificity. Specificity, right? Getting into the weeds, getting into the specifics, right? Muscle types, what type of fuel, right, each muscle type is using, how many mitochondria, right? Red meat, white meat, red meat, slow twitch muscle, white meat, fast twitch muscle. Red meat has the blood flow. White meat does not have the blood flow. White meat, the fast twitch muscle, that is the glycogen. That's the glycogen muscle, right? Where fat is or sugar is stored as glycogen, right? For use. And so you want to be able to clear that out, right? You want to clear that out. You want to empty all your fast twitch muscles of glycogen and force them to turn around and clear out the blood supply. Because when you empty the fast twitch muscles, like, they have to have glycogen in them. Like, that's just the natural state of fast twitch muscles. They're active or dormant. It's a 1 or a 0. When they're active, they're burning glycogen, period. When they're dormant, it's like they sleep in glycogen, right? They sleep in glycogen. So they need glycogen to go to sleep. Like how you need melatonin to go to sleep. Your fast twitch muscles need glycogen to sleep in. So their reaction to use is to grab as much as sugar as they can from the blood and create a glycogen cocoon. And they sleep in that. And that's literally why your fast twitch muscles grow as you use them. They're growing so that they can store more and more and more glycogen. The problem is your body's designed this way. And so if you're not exercising, that is a large bit of muscle where it's not insulin resistance, right? It's not insulin resistance, because doctors will say this is insulin resistance, but this is not insulin resistance. You know what I'm saying? I've been saying this for 2 decades. There's insulin resistance and there's different forms of diabetes and all kinds of different causes, et cetera, et cetera. But if your muscles are already full of sugar and they just simply cannot fit any more sugar in there, that's not like a disease state. It's just the sugar's not being processed. You just didn't empty them. Like, it's not like if you fill up a cup with water, you know what I'm saying? And then you put more, like you start pouring more water and the water spilling over. It's not because there's a hole in the cup. There's nothing wrong with the cup. You're just putting too much water in there. Like you have to drink the water out and then you can fill it back up. Well, you got to pour it out, but you have to empty that cup before you can pour more water in. And so a lot of people are in a pre-diabetic state because they're not clear. They're not getting fast twitch clearance, right? They're not getting fast twitch clearance. You know what I'm saying? So fast twitch muscles don't work like slow twitch muscles. Slow twitch muscles is going to constantly grind out a little bit of sugar. They're going to constantly grind out a little bit of sugar because they're constantly being used. Like, even if you're sitting down, like, even with bad posture, like, there are certain muscles that still have to be used to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? If you stand up, there's a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? But there is a small percentage of muscles that's going to be working no matter what. So you'll have a very slow, you know, burn through some sugar regardless. And then your brain is going to be on, you know, some of us, right? Respectfully, you know what I'm saying? Your brain will be on, so there'll be some usage, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, you got to get the fast twitch muscle involved. So that's the whole thing about resistance training. You know what I'm saying? It's just emptying the glycogen reserves, clearing out the blood, and then increasing the glycogen reserves, because as you continue to work the fast twitch muscles, they grow and they can store more glycogen. And then at the same time, your mitochondria are dividing, becoming faster and smaller and more efficient at, you know, processing energy at the same time. So you have a few different things going on. Wait, what is going on? Yeah, something is up with my sharing thingy.
But after hitting rock bottom, something finally clicked, and his life changed forever.
Well, last time I was in the hospital with heart failure, my heart was beating irregularly. It tried shocking it back into place. The first time I was awake, it failed. When I was leaving the hospital, my cousin and I sat on the bench together, and she said, "Sal, I need you not to die." And that was a powerful moment for me. She's like, "Would you ever want to do one of those TLC shows?" And I said to her, "I'd rather tell my own story." And here it is.
All right, so it looks like the first thing of the day is medication.
Yeah.
Is this every day?
So this is every day. I can gain like 20 pounds of water overnight if I drink too much liquid, have too much sodium. And so these medications help pour water off my chest, keep my blood pressure lower as well. This is Eliquis, which is a blood thinner.
Yeah.
When you have heart failure and you have, I had also had AFib, you're at high risk for stroke. This helps me not have a stroke.
Okay. What's AFib?
Your heart has like a rhythm. If you look, boom, 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 boom. My heart was so it was all over the place.
Wow.
Spironolactone, potassium sparing.
Now, from all my years experience, listen to this. From all my years experience, this is one of the reasons why I was personally inspired listening to this guy. His name is Sal. It hurt my heart in many situations. You know what I'm saying? There was times where I would go home and cry, like literally, you know what I'm saying? Like a sucker, you know what I'm saying? Like I would cry because some people just hurt me, you know what I'm saying? Like, and this is back in the days when I'm doing like consultations, going to people's sick beds, oncology wards, all kind of stuff, right? But it would hurt me, not that people were sick, but just that people would tell me their story, you know, we're going through their information or whatever, and they'd be on medication for like, you know, 5 years, 10 years, sometimes 20 years. And when I ask them about their medication, they don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it does. They don't even know why they're taking it. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, this medication right here is for my cancer. And this medication right here is because, you know, I got that cholesterol. And then I take these two right here because of that sugar." I'm like, wait. How is it that I'm like, wait, it's not possible for you to get better if you like it, you know how Meek Mill is levels to this? You know what I'm saying? Like the same way you go to the supermarket, you need to be on the ingredients list. Like you need to be, okay, yeah, let me go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? Even with your children, let your children read the ingredients list. Here's the thing. Because people might get the wrong idea. Like, Inky don't let his kids eat nothing. Because I know that's Inky. Inky children is eating like clouds. Inky children is eating grass and clouds. No. Trust me. They get a good amount of ratchet, pure foolishness in, right? But the thing that makes all the difference is knowing that it's pure foolishness and knowing what that looks like. So we can have discussions about it. Like, what is this? Iron oxides versus, like things that I can't even pronounce. I'm like, what is this? Where does this come from? What tree grows this chemical right here? Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, have them participate, right? Know the ingredients and then look them up. Like, what does this do in the human body? And then sometimes you might look up something that's in a candy or some cookies or a snack, and then it'd be like, yeah, side effects, colon bleed, abdominal bleeding, colon, like your children look at you like, what? And be like, yeah, so how many of these cookies you want? Yeah, it said you could bleed out your butt cheeks could start bleeding when you go to the bathroom next time. But I mean, we can still get a pack of these. Whatever. Like, you want to get 2 packs of these or what? No, Dad, what are you? I'm just trying to work with you. If you want to get a few packs of these, what you say? The other kids eating these too, right? Well, let's get some. Sometimes you gotta let them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just saying. Yeah, no, I talk a lot. You know what I'm saying? But especially about I'm happy Chase is home, so I got robbed. But I am in a relatively good mood, right? Relatively good mood, right? So I'm just saying, when it comes to medication, though, you have to know what and why, right? That's literally like the main purpose of the Ebers Papyrus books. The main purpose of the Ebers Papyrus books is so you can understand how to help your doctors, not avoid your doctors, help your doctors, right? And know how to do some things on your own so you don't get caught up waiting for treatment for 2 months, 3. I got people hitting me up from Canada. They waiting 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to see a doctor. You might drop dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to know what you're doing. Uh-oh. Video is over. Live stream is finished. P Snipes to shut it down. Thank God for small miracles. P Snipes to the rescue. P Snipes to the rescue with the super chat. And it's blank. So that's just Inky, don't worry about it. We know you got robbed. Here's a few dollars. Go get you a sandwich and calm down, Inky. Go, Inky, you need a snack time. Go ahead and calm. That's what that is. Inky, go get you something to eat. You gotta calm down, bro. Inky, you gotta calm down. You too excited. Go get you something to eat, man. I appreciate it, brother. But seeing him go through his medicines and understand all of them, that was priceless. To see him go through the medication and really have a good grasp of why he's on things, what they do, now, if I could reach out to him personally, I'd be like, yo, get these Ebers Papyrus books, right? Because you need to know that there's blood thinners in the produce section, right? You need to know that, hey, Spanish people, right? Spanish people are the masters of blood thinners. This is one of the reasons why Hispanic people live longer and healthier than everybody else, right? At least in the urban community, right? At large, right? Our quote unquote Jewish folks are living the longest overall, right? Y'all think it's Asians, but it's not. It's Jewish people. But in the hood, like in the urban community, in the cities, it's Spanish people. And I'm telling you, the reason why Spanish people are living longer and healthier than everybody else is 2 reasons: garlic and pepper. So I love Dr. Sebi, learned a lot from Dr. Sebi, but listen, When Dr. Sebi said garlic is a no-no, I knew immediately the Bronx, right? The Borinqueña, the Puerto Rican Day Parade, like all that just immediately was like, Did this Negro say no garlic? Okay, whew. That like when I was young and I was reading the Dr. York books, right? Because Dr. York, like everybody, there's a time period where everybody in New York is reading Dr. York books. You know what I'm saying? And then Dr. York drops a book called The Man from the Planet Rizq. That was like that same type of moment for me. Like that was the ice water in the face. Like, psh. Okay, yep, this guy is, like, whew. And it saved me because I could have been one of them people down in Georgia. I could have been one of them people down in Georgia. I never went down there. None of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have been one of them people. But that moment, like, it was that ice water challenge for me. When he came up with, I'm the man from the planet Rizq, I was like, oh, okay. Cult. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that was that moment with Dr. Sebi. Like, he said, no garlic. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to. Okay, wake up. Dr. Sebi's amazing. He's a genius. He's ahead of his time, but he is human. Yeah, he doesn't know everything. We're not letting go of the garlic. Like, yeah, we don't. If you come from the Bronx, I'm telling you, there's certain neighborhoods that you can walk through, and it's like a blood thinner. The air is like a blood thinner because there's so much garlic in the air. Like, it's just in the air. So yeah, I already knew right there. We was going. Yeah, we was going to keep that garlic going. We wasn't going to let that go, Sebi. Yeah. May he rest in greatness wherever he is, but we wasn't going to let the garlic go. But garlic is a natural blood thinner, right? Garlic is a natural blood thinner. So this is the type of things that I want you to get the Ebers Papyrus books for, so you can compare natural to pharmaceutical. Right. And when you hear certain things like sodium channel blockers and things like that, like as soon as you hear that, I want y'all to think like, okay, potassium deficiency. Right. You know what I'm saying? And this is not to say replace your medication, if you need blood thinner, replace your warfarin or whatever your doctor may have you on with garlic. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. But you can accentuate and you can prevent some situations. And if you have something going on and you can't get to a doctor, there's all different ways of self-care, and then post and pre. And so you need to have this knowledge. You have to have this knowledge, because people in America, we complaining about crowded emergency rooms. Well, it's people in other countries that's on a 2, 3 month, 6 month waiting list to get into the hospital, period. Like you complain about sitting in the hospital waiting for 2, 3 days to see the doctor. Like, yeah, I was in the emergency room for 2 days. This is crazy. We spoiled in America. Because it's folks that's on a waiting list for 2 months and they happy to get in there. Like, oh yeah, I got in there quick. Yeah, I was only on the waiting list for 2 months. Wait, what? 2 months? You got folks that's ready to turn into like terrorists after being in the emergency room waiting for 3 days. Like, so we just got to get better self-care, figure some stuff out. So remember, the major problem with processed food is that, at least regarding sodium, is that the sodium and potassium ratio is upside down, right? The natures, they don't give us, more sodium than potassium, right? Particularly with fruits and vegetables, you're going to have more potassium than sodium. And in the right ratio, your kidney is able to balance, keep your sodium in check, right? That's one of the jobs your kidney is doing, right? if you're getting more sodium, if you're getting even sodium, wait, let's just start right there. If you're getting the same amount of sodium as you are potassium in your diet, you have way too much sodium. Period. You're supposed to have like 4 times as much potassium every day as sodium, right? So that's where the problem comes in. And because, you know, like potassium is not like a seasoning, right? Sodium is dangerous, right? Only because it's an electrolyte. It's a maybe sodium needs to be reclassified. Let me write this down. That might be something we have to think about. Yeah, maybe sodium has to be reclassified because sodium, and that's why, remember, sodium was nature. The name back in Kemet for sodium was naturum. Yeah, naturum. You know what I'm saying? Like powder of the gods type of vibe. Like it was used as money, currency. You know what I'm saying? Like sodium is, it's not like they prepare the Christ in Kemet, you know what I'm saying, with sodium, like oil. You anoint the body, but they forget the soil. Soil. They forget the salt. It's salt and oil. So yeah, maybe salt is not classified properly, but salt is a part of your energy system. It's a part of your water system. And then as a part of your energy system and your water system, it like reverse regulates your hormones, right? Because once you get into the space with aldosterone and, you know, like aldosterone has a way to reverse regulate insulin. So yeah, that's why sodium is dangerous. Sodium is dangerous not because like people just ignorant to sodium. Like, you know, we just thinking salt. You know what I'm saying? Like we gonna add a little seasoning, but it's not like, yeah, you're not just adding a little. It's not like adding pepper or coriander or like you put a little turmeric on there or something. It's not the same as that. You know what I'm saying? Salt is going to do like DTM. I seen this YouTube video with this white college professor, right? And he's a language arts teacher. I don't know if y'all seen it. It's kind of went viral, so you might have seen it. But he like, listen, I'm gonna translate my English into like Gen Z. So he up there throwing the slang terms around. And it's funny because, you know, my children like, yeah, that's how you sound talking to us, Dad. You know what I'm saying? But no, salt, I'm just thinking, I don't know, that just popped in my mind because salt be doing the most. And, you know, like on the text message, that's DTM, doing the most. Yeah, doing the most. Or doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Like doing too much or doing the most. Well, really, the salt is doing too much. It's not even doing too much, it's doing the most. Like salt be doing the most. So you're thinking that it's just influencing the taste of the food. No, it's regulating how much fluid your body's gonna store, and it's changing the speed of the sodium, potassium, ion pumps, and you know, like it's doing a lot. It does a lot. So you have to really, you know, like you have to understand, like it's not just an electrolyte. It's not just a seasoning. It's a neurotransmitter because it has an inverse relationship with glutamate. like it's, yeah, salt does a whole lot in your body. You know what I'm saying? It does a lot in your body. So that's why you have to watch the salt. Period. You have to watch the salt because it has a way in, and it's like the number one cheapest. Like it's literally like one of the cheapest preservatives. Like, it's a cheat code to make cheap food. Like, it really is a cheat code because it's so valuable to your body. Your brain lights up when it comes in, and it preserves food. So it's like a cheat code for big companies that want to make a lot of stuff and make it cheap as possible. You know, they just splash their salt all over the place and then, you know, splash some sugar on there to cover up the salt taste. And you got pure deliciousness. Like, you're 2/3 of the way to dopamine, you know, like the bliss point, right? And we've talked about the bliss point in book. Get the books. If you don't know about the bliss point, that means you're behind in the books. Go to Amazon. But I just wanted to say, like, this guy right here was very inspirational with this.
It's like a rhythm. If you look, boom, 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 my heart was so it was all over the place.
Wow. Thing of the day is medication.
Yeah.
Is this every day?
So this is every day. I can gain like 20 pounds of water overnight if I drink too much liquid, have too much sodium. And so these medications help pour water off my chest, keep my blood pressure lower as well. This is Eliquis, which is a blood thinner.
Yeah.
When you have heart failure and I had also had AFib, you're at high risk for stroke. This helps me not have a stroke.
Okay. What's AFib?
Your heart has like a rhythm. If you look, boom, 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 my heart was so it was all over the place.
Wow.
Spironolactone, potassium sparing diuretic. Torsemide pulls off all the water in your body. So it pulls off all.
Are you like peeing like crazy?
Yeah, so you pee like crazy, but you also pull off like calcium, potassium, sodium, and so you get cramps if you get dehydrated.
Are any of these actually like dangerous?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Torsemide's like dangerous. If I have this too much, I have to go to the hospital and get an IV.
Factor clearly gets active lifestyles. They're developed by doctors.
So the crazy thing is when they try to throw a commercial on your video and then hit you with the copyright for the commercial. Like, yeah, I didn't even want that on my video. How you gonna copyright me for that?
Or water back to my body.
Shit.
This is just a vitamin D supplement, which I take every week. And then this is diltiazem. Diltiazem is a calcium channel blocker. Helps my heart.
Notice that that's vitamin D2. That's vitamin D2. So that's not even the highest quality vitamin D supplement right there, right? So that's another reason why you want to start to learn as much as you can, because D2 comes from like fungus. So just in case y'all got D2 at home, I just want y'all to know D2 comes from like fungus and fermented bacteria and yeast, and you know, like that's how they make vitamin D2. So I'm not a fan. You know, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of D2. So just in case. Yeah, just in case. Yeah, because I just happened to peep it. I'm looking at his vitamin D. It says D2. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's probably not, you know.
Beat better. This is called valsartan. Again, another thing for my heart. This is metoprolol. It's a beta blocker. Keep my heart rate down.
Is it possible to eventually wean your way off all of them?
Yeah, so all these will go away, probably except for maybe metoprolol, which is just a normal blood pressure medication. I was predisposed to die for high blood pressure because of my family and everything like that, so I'll probably always have high blood pressure. But the rest of these can all go away through diet and exercise.
Okay, and we'll keep the recreational ones in.
We'll see.
So would you very much say this is what's keeping you alive right now?
Yeah, I would gain probably 100 pounds in a week and a half of water.
100 pounds of water in a week and a half?
Mm-hmm. These medicines keep me alive.
That's insane. So if I took...
Keep in mind, when he says that he would gain 20 pounds overnight in water, or that he'll gain 100+ pounds over a week in water, it's not his body doing that. It's because of what he normally eats. So with his normal diet, he would normally put on X amount of, because the more salt, the more you're going to store water, right? And you can't eat a bunch of processed food without like a bunch of salt in it. Like if you get snack cakes, it's loaded with salt, like everything, right? And remember, when I say loaded with salt, I just mean that the ratio is upside down, period. So loaded with salt could be 4 milligrams of salt versus 1 milligram of potassium. I would say that food is loaded with salt. You'd be like, yeah, but 4 milligrams ain't nothing, doc. Yeah, it is, because you upside down. So it don't matter about the numbers. A lot of times people look at the number, they look at the back, and they go, oh, this ain't much sodium right here. This is only, 20 milligrams, or this is only whatever. Check the amount of sodium versus the amount of potassium in that food. And you'll start to notice a nasty trend with all processed foods. You'll notice a nasty trend. Usually it's 2, 3, 4 times as much sodium as potassium. And if that's the case, you got to be able to balance that. You got to know how to, how to balance that out. And it's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like if you like bananas, hit you a smoothie. Throw 2 or 3 bananas in there. You know what I'm saying? Like bananas is cheap. I'm just saying bananas because, we ball on the budget over here. Right? But, if you splurge-erific, you got you a few dollars and all that, you might just want to go have you a quick little raw coconut water. Raw coconut water, not Zico's and none of them box things that's on the shelf in the supermarket. Those are not good. Raw coconut water. Yeah. If you can cut the coconut yourself, that's cool, but they got the raw coconut waters, about $4.60 a bottle, something like that, $4.50, $4.90. Depending on where you at. If you at Shea Boo Boo's, they might sell you the same raw coconut water for about $7, $8, but it should be around $4.70, something like that. That's the right price. Now that'll get you right quickly. You know what I'm saying? The coconut water gets you right quickly. There's a nice blast of potassium. You know what I'm saying? But if you're on a budget, bananas are amazing. Bananas are amazing. And bananas is really good, especially if you go organic, because they're so cheap. You can go organic with bananas and still be super affordable. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how you just got to balance some stuff off like that. You know what I'm saying? And then if you can throw some greens in your drink with the bananas. Yeah, but Doc, somebody told me I'm not supposed to have no greens with my bananas. Okay, well, just drop dead. I'm just saying you can do that, or drop dead, whatever.
That would make me shredded? Like, would it just make me really
A couple of them would for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. Every day.
Damn. You swallowed them all at once?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next on the routine?
Next we make breakfast. Before that though, we get to make some yogurt first.
So yogurt's not breakfast?
No, yogurt's a snack.
Yogurt's a snack? We have a snack before breakfast?
We have a snack to make breakfast.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jello and yogurt.
Are we just having powdered Jello?
Yes.
Okay.
And make it
I didn't think we were going to snort it. I mean, I thought we were going to...
Probably the hardest thing of this whole process is tracking food.
Because you just kind of want to pick and go through the fridge.
Yeah, I'm a grazer.
Okay. Listen, one of the things with dealing with food addiction and trying to cut down is you have to have some ways of stimulating that dopamine. You can't just cold turkey it. You got to have some, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got to have some ways that you have a nice, so this, you might be thinking at home, like, this is a little crazy. Like, what is he doing with Jello yogurt? Like, but this is actually, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Like, it could be a lot worse. It's a nice way to get an early blast of dopamine to get the monkey off your back. Because if you're used to high amounts of sugar for breakfast, you know, pancakes and French toast smothered with syrup, and then a coffee loaded with milk and sugar, or a shake, or, you know, like if you're used to or even sugary smoothies, you know what I'm saying? You got some smoothies that's loaded with sugar. Like, people are going crazy. Then they adding syrups and all kind of stuff. Like, it's so. This is a very intelligent way, you know what I'm saying? And I do the same thing on my own. Like, I don't do that, but if I have some yogurt, I like to throw some green, like I may throw some algae in my yogurt. You know what I'm saying? I might throw some chlorella in my yogurt, you know. But yeah, I'll throw some green powder. So you don't got to go Jello. You know what I'm saying? But I'll throw some green powder, or if I got some protein powder around, I'll throw some hemp powder or something, you know, some protein powder in my yogurt. Yeah. I definitely will load the yogurt. Like use yogurt, you know, you can load the yogurt. So you're getting your probiotics in, and then, you know, yeah, it's a nice little cheat code. Now, the thing is, yogurts have evolved. So there are a lot of yogurts that are masquerading as yogurts. They're like not really yogurts. They're really just like sugary treats masquerading as yogurt. So you got to be careful out there. But on the grand scale of things, some people just need some yogurt. You need some yogurt every so often. You need to have you some yogurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, nice cheat code. It's like a multi-pro. You know how you got multivitamins? You get you a good high quality yogurt. It's like a multi-probiotic, right? You take a multi-mineral, multivitamin. Every so often, you need a multi-probiotic, right? So this is not that bad. Now, he flavoring it up with Jello because he gotta work. He gotta get that dopamine together.
I just want to grab something, go, and move on. Tasty.
That's scrumptious.
Yeah, I can't meal prep for like a whole week. I'll eat it all.
So you have to meal prep for every day?
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll eat the whole thing. Would you say that's a food addiction?
For sure. I know the food's in there. I know it's like available. It's already prepped, ready to go. Like, I just want it. It could be anything.
So how many calories are you eating right now?
Typically 2,000 calories.
That's way lower than I expected.
Yeah.
What were you eating to get north of 700?
10,000 calories a day, 10 to 12,000 calories a day. I was probably 450 in high school and college. Came home from college, probably 500-ish, 550, 500. I gained probably 50 pounds in COVID to 600 pounds when I moved out of my parents' house in 2021 and got my own place. And that's when it kind of like, I went to from like probably 580, 560 to 725. I was just alone.
So, yeah, I guess that we needed to stop anyway, have a break real quick. 10 to 12,000 calories a day. 10 to 12,000 calories a day. And the crazy thing is, our bodies, listen to this, I want y'all to hear this. Our bodies are designed so amazing that 10,000 calories a day can either make you LeBron James, Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky, or it can make you 700 pounds. The difference between the two, I want y'all to understand this. The difference between 10,000 calories a day making you into a world-renowned champion versus killing you, making you 700 pounds, is wattage. wattage. What does your electricity look like? That's why right now, go to Amazon. If you do not have the bioelectricity book, go and get the bioelectricity book right now, add it to your cart and check out. You have to have that information. That is the difference between 10,000 calories turning you into LeBron versus turning you 700 pounds. Wattage. What is your wattage? What is your wattage? And if you don't even know what I'm talking about, yeah, just go to Amazon and get the book.
Bad habits, avoided people, friends, and family, and use food as like just my only escape. I probably spent $50,000 in the last last 2 years.
You're just ordering out for
just ordering every meal out, and so like I didn't have the money to pay for this kind of stuff. Like I was spending probably anywhere from $400 to $800 a week.
A week
on like DoorDash, Uber Eats. Like I was just bankrupting myself. I mean, I literally went bankrupt from ordering food so much.
So what happened? Like how did you pay it off?
I didn't. Like I'm filing for like bankruptcy for the courts. My average meal size was probably $80 times 3. Right? So I mean, think about that times every day.
Yeah.
And that was consistently.
Yeah. I mean,
I never missed a meal.
Damn. I mean, the fact that it's 7:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with you and we're having Greek yogurt. I would say you're winning.
I probably eat more food than I did when I was eating 10,000 calories a day.
Like volume-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we're doing so much volume.
Interesting.
We enjoyed the rest of our snack before beginning meal prep, which consisted of a lot of food.
In case y'all didn't hear that, because y'all got caught up in the rap battle update we got there. He went bankrupt buying food. Bankrupt buying food. So it's not a game. This thing is not a game. It's going to hurt your life in a variety of ways. Like he went bankrupt buying food. The same way somebody becomes known as an addict of cocaine, of weed, of crack, of pills, of heroin. For every crackhead you know, there's somebody around. For every cokehead you know, especially cocaine. For every coke addict you know, there's probably 20 people that you know that you don't know use cocaine every single day. The difference is, depending on the intensity of the drug, and depending on a person's financial status in their life, we don't view people as addicts because they're addicted to drugs. We view people as addicts because they can't handle their financial responsibilities. We don't realize the time to save somebody is before it's visible, before they can't handle their financial responsibilities, before they, they stop showing up to work and they, they can't, you're still an addict. And even if you're a functional person, like you can carry your addiction and hide it from the world, you're still an addict. You're still an addict. And this is showing the power. This is showing the power of food addiction right here. This is showing the power of food addiction. He's ordering, $50, $60, $70, $80 meals 2-3 times a day. Crazy.
I probably eat more food than I did when I was eating 10,000 calories a day.
Like volume-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we're doing so much volume.
Interesting.
We enjoyed the rest of our snack before beginning meal prep.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize they mentioned it. He mentions this. I didn't even realize he mentions this. This is important right here. I'm going to write this down.
I'm sitting with you and we're having Greek yogurt. I would say you're winning.
I probably eat more food than I did when I was eating 10,000 calories a day.
Like volume-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we're doing so much volume.
Interesting.
Okay, so now that's a very, very powerful, statement he just made, right? So we got to take down our beautiful diagrams from the other day, right? And I didn't even plan on doing a whole bunch of writing today. You know what I'm saying? I done used 2-3 different markers on the board at once. I thought I was going to leave my little stuff up there for a little while. But some of this stuff, we got to write this down. So we're going to go with, we're going to put sodium. We're going to go sodium versus potassium. We're going to go sodium versus potassium. And then we're going to go, I don't even know how to write this down. I guess volume versus calories. Volume versus calories. Okay. When I get, because the other guys, remember, we're reacting to 2 videos at once, right? So we're going to flip back and forth between Sal and Will and the Mind Pump Show. On the Mind Pump Show, they talk about eating whole foods. That's a way for, so if you don't know what's happening, right? When you watch these big YouTube platforms and they keep telling people that, like, oh, you got to eat whole foods, like whole foods are the healthiest, they're paid to do that. So they're like, that's a way for them to promote natural food, but at the same time also get that money from the whole food franchise. You know what I'm saying? The supermarket franchise. You know, so they're you know, it's paid advertisement along with great advice. It's not to take away from what it says. It's great advice, but it's not as specific as maybe saying vegetables or fruits, or, you know, they're just going to say, they're going to use the term whole foods. So what happens is, because processed foods have the pigment and the fiber removed, right? That's processed foods. And then the completely fake foods never had pigment and fiber to begin with, right? So what happens is the foods are a lot smaller, right? The foods are a lot smaller, right? And they're loaded with a lot more sugar, oil, and salt, right? Sugar, oil, salt, and they're smaller, right? So that means physically you can fit more processed food inside your stomach than you can fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables have fiber, right? And what does fiber do? Fiber encourages water structuring, right? Fiber encourages jellification, right? So fiber swells, right? Fibers swell, right? So first of all, the size, right? Like, let me see something. Let me see if I got a container around or something, because You know, I had a long weekend, so I might not even have nothing around. Okay, so look, this is a big box of greens right here, right? Some organic spinach, right? Yeah, I see. I'll be on my clearance, but this is Simple Truth Organic. It's a pound, right? This is a pound. This tub. This is a pound of greens. And this pound of greens is only like, look, I want y'all to see the size of this. This is huge. I don't know how it's translating over the screen. This is a pound of greens, and this is huge. Like literally, this is larger than my stomach is, right? So this whole pound of greens is only like 180 calories. Yeah, 180 calories like this. Now, just imagine if this was filled up with Oreo cookies, right? If this was filled up with Oreo cookies, you know what? I don't even know where I just thought of Oreo cookies from. That might be me projecting. Just think this is filled with Oreo cookies. That'll probably be about, this would be bigger than a pack of Oreos. So you could probably put a whole family bag of Oreo cookies in here and still have room, right? This will probably be thousands of calories with Oreo cookies, right? If we fill this up with ice cream, this would be thousands of calories of ice cream, right? If we fill this up with chicken breasts, we could probably get, I don't even know, like maybe 25 chicken breasts to go in this. To fit in this same tub, it'll probably be about 25 chicken breasts go in here, right? You see where I'm going with this? So think about having a tub like this of pasta, you know what I'm saying? Or mashed potatoes or macaroni. Like, so this is what it means. Volume versus calories, right? So right there, Will and Sal, he mentioned volume, right? He said, I'm eating more food now that I'm eating healthier than before because of the volume. That's what he's talking about. Natural food, right? Like greens and vegetables is huge. The volume, right? As opposed to the calories amount, right? To eat something like this much of anything, right? You're expecting to be having thousands of calories, but a big tub like this of greens, 200 calories, less than 200 calories, right? So that's what he's talking about with, and then when we watch the Mind Pump show, you'll probably hear them say, if you convert to eating, you know, no processed food and you just go with all whole foods, and they talking about fruits, grains, vegetables, etc. Typically, on average, you save 1 pound a week. Typically, on average, that's 500 calories per day. And over the time of a week, that's 3,500 calories, and 3,400 calories equals a pound. You would know that if you got Melanin vs. Diabetes book 3. So if you don't have Melanin vs. Diabetes book 3, go to Amazon right now, add it to your cart, check out, right? But that's in the book. right? So 3,400 calories is a pound of fat, right? So if every day you just switch over to eat natural foods versus processed foods, that's like a pound a week of fat with like a no-brainer. You ain't even got to work for that, right? You just get rid of that. Right. So anyway, that was just a nice little jewel snuggled in there that we needed to write that down and highlight. So sodium versus potassium, volume versus calories, 2 powerful cheat codes for people trying to build more muscle or people trying to lose more fat.
We enjoyed the rest of our snack before beginning meal prep, which consisted of a lot of foods you'd probably already expect.
Meal prep time, egg whites. How many egg whites do you go through a day?
I go through 2 cartons a day. I mean, this is just a simple value meal.
Yeah.
Right, so
No kidding, man. Yeah. You might go bankrupt again on spinach, man.
Maybe.
You need a shovel instead?
Yeah, probably.
You know what's weird to think about?
What?
So when milk goes bad, it gets clumpy.
Yeah.
And then cottage cheese is just clumpy.
Yeah.
So this is just a container of red flags, if you think about it. You must have like earth rumbling farts. How much protein do you eat a day?
292 grams.
292 grams.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, at least it's not 1 gram per pound, right? Because
That'd be a lot. This one should be almost done now.
All right, so catch that. Will asked him how much protein he's doing a day. And he said 219 grams of protein. So in the books, we talk about gearing your eating goals to who you want to be as opposed to who you are, right? So a lot of times when you watch a bunch of these different health channels and platforms, they'll tell you to eat, 0.8 grams of protein per pound or, 1.2 per kilo or whatever their metric is, right? And I'm not going to debate whether they're right or wrong, at least not today anyway. But what I will say is setting up your programs, create your program for the body you want to have, not the body you have now, right? Create your program for the body you want to have, the body you want to transition into, right? So eat like you have this amount of muscle, or eat like you want to have this amount of fat, because that's what it will be. Like speak it into existence, right? Speak it into existence. If you don't have the Speak It Into Existence book, go to Amazon, add that to your cart, check out, right? But speak it into existence, right? So eat for the size that you want to be, right? If you got, trust me, I am not eating for the size I am now. I'm eating for the size I want to be in July, right? So it will come to pass. Then I can show y'all my before and after pic, and y'all gonna be like, Inky, how did that happen? How didn't we see it? Then we're gonna go back through some of the videos and be like, now look at this right here. Oh man. Wait, what just happened? Okay, yeah. StreamYard is struggling today.
Right. So glycogen is what you get when you eat carbohydrates or sugar. So when you have high blood sugar, it means you have the circulating sugar in your blood, and it needs to go somewhere. It needs to get stored, the liver or muscle. Well, when you build muscle, you've got a larger storage vessel for storing sugar and carbohydrates. And so they think that this is one of the reasons why strength training seems to be more effective for visceral body fat than other forms of exercise.
No.
But definitely like being overall healthy is the best way to do this, even if you're lean, because you can see people who appear skinny who have a lot of visceral body fat, but they have really terrible metabolic health.
Yeah. So, taking somebody who is, say, around 30% and wanting to get down to the 10% body fat range, what are some of the top things that sabotage somebody on this journey?
This is where the real conversation starts, right? Because I could give you a simple answer, right? We all know the simple answer is people eat too much. Too many calories, right? You eat more calories than you burn. Those calories, that energy needs to go somewhere, so it gets stored as body fat. But it's such a simplistic way of looking at things. Obviously, okay, we're eating too much energy, but why does this keep happening? And why is it happening more and more often?
And why does it seem more difficult for some people than other people?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody has an example of their friend who they're like, man, we eat the same stuff and they look like this and I look like that. So I hate when we just default to the, oh, you're eating too much, you're not burning enough.
Yeah, it's like why are people suffering from poverty? Well, they don't make enough and they don't save enough. It's like, okay, great. Einstein. How do we fix this? Well, I think, okay, at the end of the day, what we need to look at, the main thing that we need to deal with, and this gets real complex, but the main thing we need to deal with is why are people eating or behaving in ways that encourage overeating? That's what we need to look at. Like, what are we encouraging overeating? Are we just not burning enough calories? A lot of people would say we're not burning enough calories. But what's interesting about that is the data shows that our metabolic rates adapt to our activity. There's a famous study I've brought up at least 50 times in the podcast of the Hadza tribe. These are modern hunter-gatherers who are way more active than the average Westerner. And when they test their metabolic rates, they burn as many calories roughly as the average Western couch potato. That's because the body.
Now, that's where the I don't know if y'all know, old school folks working out. So let me go to my uncle, one of my uncles. His name is Jojo, right? And so Jojo used to tell me this thing where you have to trick yourself. You have to trick your brain. Right. So he would, he'd tell me, like little jewels, like, don't be in front of the mirror. Like, don't allow yourself to look at yourself without any clothes on. Period. Like, even if you get out the shower, dry off with your back to the mirror. Do not look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Don't look in the mirror. Don't eat the same, like if you're going to fast, have at least 1 or 2 days where you overeat on purpose, right? Because your body will go into energy savings mode, right? And you go into energy savings mode, your body will store twice as much fat as normal because it thinks you like going into some sort of hibernation, starvation space where it has to conserve everything. So when you give your body the idea that there's plenty, your body burns energy a lot more readily. Your body has no problem. It's like somebody with money, they splurge it. You know what I'm saying? So if you give your body the idea it's okay to spend, so you can fast for a couple days, but then you got to stop and turn that back around. And that's where you got to modify your activity level, right? Because if you're going to eat a little bit more, a little crazier, you got to work out a little harder. Right? You got to work out a little harder like that. Let that be the day you get 15,000 steps in, or instead of jogging, you add some sprints in, or whatever it is, right? To offset the eating, right? Which helps on the one end, but then on the other side, on the biochemical side, it allows your body to freely not worry about storing fat and just freely burn energy, which is important. Very important to what you're going to need to do.
Of the day, which was something I was surprised about, and I also suck at: swimming.
Are you ready?
No. Have you not seen my videos?
I've seen them.
I don't swim. This is going to be like semi-controlled drowning.
We have a lifeguard on duty, so if you do drown, we'll make sure to get you resuscitated quickly. It's 4 feet. You can stand. You're not that short.
2 feet taller. So you do this every day?
So 4 times a week.
So you're Poseidon, pretty much.
I'm just trying to make sure that my bones and joints are okay.
I think a lot of people would be like, "You're pretty heavy to swim."
Yeah. So that's like a common thing. People don't understand like fat and muscle. So fat like floats in water, muscle sinks in water. And so for me, because I'm so heavy, it's easier for me to stay afloat.
Right.
But there's so much drag, so it's harder for my shoulders and stuff to work.
Okay. Let's get a little. It's nice and warm.
It's not. It's
nice and warm.
When you touch your toes, it's always warm. When you get in, it's gonna be holy shit.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's cold. Just get it.
Oh, it's touching the tip now. This is very like Goggin-esque of you. So are we just crushing laps? We're not even taking a break. We're
gonna do a lap. We're gonna take breaks. Like obviously, just go as hard as you can.
Do you have any idea how many calories you would burn on a swim like this?
It's different because we're so much heavier. So like for me, I'll probably burn like between 1,000 and 1,500 calories on a long swim. Okay. For you might burn like 300 to 200 to 300.
Ready?
Yeah.
Dave, are you ready? What did you? All right. 3, 2, 1.
Instantly, when we started swimming, I was blown away by Sal's speed. He was giving it everything he got. He was moving with confidence, smooth strokes, and had total control. Me, on the other hand, I need some work. It had me thinking maybe I should have had shark fin soup instead of yogurt for my snack.
Wow. He's literally waiting for me. I gotta find a way to drain this pool. I don't know if I can do this. He's right at the end of the pool.
Based off of all his videos, I would say he's doing about what I expected. Will's in peak condition, peak shape, and yet you see him struggling with the pool. And so,
is someone talking about me?
Yeah, you're gonna.
What did you say, Sal?
So we gotta do just like a safety bulletin, right? We need to do, right, what is safe for us. We have to do what is safe. That's one of the problems with social media, exercise, fitness, and health folks. A lot of times they're sharing from their space, right? So if you're watching Chris Bumstead or you're watching, I don't know, what's that guy's name? The Panda, the guy, the black guy, or any of these, like they're sharing from what they're doing. But a lot of times these guys have been taking steroids for 20 years, or they just been a professional athlete for 10, 15 years, or whatever the case may be. You're not at that level, right? You have to get in shape in order to be able to get in shape, right? So if you haven't been out there doing a whole bunch of cardio, like before you try jogging, right? Before maybe even jumping rope or running, they're definitely not running. But before maybe jumping rope and jogging, you just need, like walking. And for people who have limited issues with walking, right, you're going to need water, right? You're going to need water. You're going to need the bike, right? The bike and swimming is great. It's great to get that cardio in, right? For your heart, right? For your heart and for your fat, for your blood flow, even for your brain, right? For your lymphatic system overall, right? but you're missing. It's not protecting. I want to. I need to clarify this because he said protecting, right? And for him at 700 pounds, it's protecting. But for John Q. Public, it's not protecting, right? Swimming and biking are not protecting your tendons, your ligaments, your joints and your bones. It's not what they're doing. It's avoiding them. It's avoiding them. There's a big difference between protecting and avoiding, right? Protecting is strengthening. Protecting is making more dense, right? You don't build strong tendons, ligaments, and bones by avoiding them. You actually build them by bouncing off them, right? Shock, right? That's how you build them up, right? Jumping, running, bouncing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's how you build strong ligaments, tendons, bones, joints, etc. But it takes them a while. It takes them a while. So if you have weak ankles, weak knees, stuff like that, you have to walk like a baby. You got to start back over again. You got to walk before you can start jogging and jumping. And then, once you get your jogging and jumping in, you can start sprinting a little bit. That's what I'm doing right now. That's the level I'm at right now, right? I'll be doing my fast walking, and then I'll start jogging. And then every so often, I'll get like a certain song to come on, and then I start feeling myself. And then I start booking it. Yeah, then I start booking it for like a good, strong. Now, mind you, I feel like I'm going really fast. But it might only be like a half a block. You know what I'm saying? It might be a half a block, but it doesn't matter, right? You get you a little blast in, and then you slow back down to a jog or a walk. You can slow all the way back down to a jog or a walk and just keep it going. You know what I'm saying? And then, let yourself recover. And when you feel when you feel it again, you hit another blast, right? But you don't go from walking to sprinting. That's for children, right? You go from walking to jogging to sprinting, right? Your body needs advance. Once you get past 35, you and your body have to communicate a little bit more. So you don't just bust out into a run. Like, you're not just standing still. Like, oh, police come. Like, you're not. You go from a walk, right? Moderate walk to fast walk to jogging to booking it. Yeah. So very important to make sure that we're exercising safely. Like, we're not doing too much, right? We're not overdoing it, because a lot of times, especially like now, right now is the panic window. I was talking to Caleb the other day, and he was like, Dad, you might need to take a break. And I'm like, nah, I just looked at the calendar, bro. It's crazy. Because it seemed like yesterday, it was like the end of February, and now it's like tomorrow is July. It's like, man, you know what I'm saying? So like right now, going into the end of May is where people realizing they done wasted their gym money. They done played themselves. They done signed up for this expensive membership in January, February. They ain't use it. They haven't been working out at the house. And now summer is in like, you're going to go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow. It's going to be summertime. Like, it's on you just that quick. So people are trying to do too much, too fast, right? You cannot go from barely doing 10 push-ups to all of a sudden you got the 60 and 60. You can't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt your shoulder. You're going to hurt your wrist. You're going to have a heart attack. Like, that's not it, right? You got to go from 10 to 13 to 15 to 19, 20. You know, you got to build it up. You got to build it up. But it's important that we get to that mark. It's important that we get to that mark. You know, that 60 and 60. It's important that we get qualified, right? With Dr. Inky qualification, especially if you've been watching me for X amount of months or X amount of years. If you can't hit that 60 and 60, you ain't together. Ladies, you need to be able to do that 40 push-ups in 60 seconds. Not on your knees either. Full push-ups. 40 push-ups, 60 seconds. Men, 60 push-ups, 60 seconds. I don't care how old you is. Inky, I'm about 60 years old. That's fine. You should still be able to hit that 60 and 60. No, you don't have to listen. You don't have to do 60 straight. You can do about 20, 30, take you a breather for a few seconds and then get back. As long as you get the 60 in within 60 seconds, you're good. Right? But we have to build it up. We have to build it up. Right? That is the important thing.
Effects from that, and hormone balance, and obviously like just recovery in general.
Yeah, I would say all those play a role. But if you took a bunch of people who are sleep deprived, again, this group eats 85% of their diet, which, by the way, okay, the average American diet is between 70 to 80% heavily processed. Okay. If you expose them to heavily processed versus not, you would still see the difference. Yeah. So everybody eats more when they're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
But
they especially lean to those overly processed foods when they're sleep deprived.
Totally.
It creates those cravings.
Sticking with this process.
Why? Right? Why do people tend to eat more processed food when they're not getting the sleep? Right? Wattage. Wattage, right? Because they still need the electricity. Their body still needs that juice, right? Still needs that light. Still needs the light bulb on. Regardless of how you rest, how you recover, how you fuel up, you still need the light bulb to turn on, right? And so because you still need the light bulb to turn on, you need that energy, right? And so this is what we discuss in the Osiris Diabetes and Respiration book. As the respiratory system gets uncoupled from the metabolism, right? Your energy levels drop. As your energy level drops, you want quick energy. So you're going to go for a sugary snack. Get you a quick boost of energy, or you're going to be one of them people buying, 5-hour drinks, the 5-hour energy drinks, or a Monster drink, or a Red Bull, or whatever it is. You want a quick, or you're going to be going to get, let me go get some coffee. And then you add more sugar to the coffee, because now you get the caffeine with the sugar. Like, that's a drug. The moment you add sugar to caffeine, you got a drug. Listen, caffeine has addictive qualities where you have withdrawal symptoms. The moment you add that to a dopamine producing substance like sugar, whoo, you have a full-blown drug. Full-blown drug. That's why it's crazy that you can sell a caffeine product with sugar in it. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy, because that's a full-blown drug right there, right? But people, they're crashing. They got to get through their day, whatever their responsibilities is. So quick fix, right? Quick fix. telling you, it really don't make no sense. It's really crazy.
This food conversation, which I love because this happens to be one of the more debated topics in our space.
Yeah.
This isn't like it's in fact, I think it's one of the most difficult things to communicate because we tend to have two camps in the health and fitness space that communicate about processed foods. You have obviously some of the people that are on the whole natural, hippie, crunchy, woo-woo side that would be like, oh my God, it's the worst thing for you. It's the devil. They talk about all the chemicals and the hormones and everything that's so bad about these processed foods, and it's killing us. And it's kind of fear mongering on that side. And then you have the science heavy counter argument in the health space that's going to debate those woo woo people and be like, oh, everything is a chemical. Yes, if all calories are equated for, then all the science points to there's nothing wrong with these processed foods. You can absolutely lose 30% down to 10% down body fat. And so I like that you went this way to have this conversation because I know there's people right now that are listening to this that are on one side or the other. Obviously, you communicating processed foods are your number one. The woo-woo people right away jump on board with you. But there is definitely a group of people that are listening right now that are resistant to that being you claiming that's the number one tip when they're listening to their favorite fitness professional that's telling you there's nothing wrong with those the protein cookies. There's nothing wrong with, a bag of chips so long as it fits your macros. Right. And so you point out as that being the number one, if not one of your top reasons that sabotages someone from being successful like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, let me ask you guys, when you guys train clients, what was the one step that a client could take that would have the biggest, if you had to pick one thing, what was it?
Yeah, whole foods.
It was this. Yeah. Now, it's not, are processed foods inherently unhealthy? No. I mean, although I can make the argument that for the most part, they're not as healthy, quote unquote. I mean, how do you define that, right? But not as healthy as whole natural foods. But forget that for a second. It's just heavily processed foods. Most of the ingredients that are in those foods are in there to make them more desirable to eat. So they're just more, for lack of a better term, addictive, more pleasurable, more hedonistic. And so people eat them more. It's just a fact. Look, remember we had Chris Kresser on the show years ago. I loved the line that he used, or the example that he used. He said, imagine if I put 4 or 5 plain boiled potatoes in front of you, no salt, no butter, and I told you to eat them in 30 minutes. Do you think you could? I'm like, oh my God, it'd be hard to choke them down. After the third one, I'd probably gag. And he said, well, could you eat a whole family-sized bag of potato chips? It's right around the same amount. Right? Except one of them is engineered to be hyper palatable, and the other one is just what you find in nature. So it really boils down to if you're trying to lose weight and you find it difficult to eat the right amount of food. In other words, do you find it difficult to not overeat? Yes. Avoid foods that make you overeat. What is that? Heavily processed food.
There's another layer to that I think you have to point out too, that a lot of the science fitness people don't point out. They talk about what the science and the data says about the calories, but then they lack the information or lack the communication around the behavioral psychology related to this. And there's something to be said. This is something that I learned with training so many clients is if I told my client they can't or don't, it's just like talking to a toddler. It's like you tell a toddler, don't do that. It's like it's the first thing they go and do versus keeping their mind occupied on something else, right? And distracting them. They don't seem to think or care too much about that. Same thing would work with clients. Instead of me telling them you can't have these things, I would say you can have anything you want so long as it's whole foods.
Eat as much as you want.
Yeah, you eat as much as you want. I'm not going to tell you that you have to weigh, you have to measure, do stuff. Just these are the foods I want you to choose from. There's something to be said about the power of that psychology and that game that you're playing, even with yourself, is saying like, hey, my trainer, or I'm not telling myself I can't have these things. All I'm saying is, hey, I'm going to make it a goal that I just make choices from whole foods.
I've never had.
And just to double down, that's primarily volume versus calories, right? It's volume versus calories. And then the other thing is this. You only have one stomach. Right? This is something that nobody really discusses. You only have one stomach. So my stomach could be full of Oreos, or my stomach can be full of like greens and whatever else, right? But it's not like those things can happen at the same time. So there's a benefit of choosing the healthier foods, if for no other purpose than because you don't have the other foods in there. And there's a curse of eating the more processed, greasy, sugary foods because you don't have room for the other things, right? And then the next level down from that is the issue of taste buds. So in the Constitution book, we kind of go through the taste buds because taste buds are important, right? Your taste buds are going to change every 3 or 4 weeks based on what it is that you're eating. So that's the other thing with processed foods, right? When you allow your children, to have Frosty Flakes and Pop-Tarts and pizza and microwave this and that and the other, then all of a sudden you don't watch the Dr. Inky video or Dr. Sabi video, and now you trying to get them to have a kale salad, and they're like, "Oh, this is," and you looking at them like, "What are you talking about? That's delicious. Are you crazy? That's the fresh," like, it's not that they can't get it. They don't have the taste buds for it. And they don't have the information to override their taste buds. Like you might have sat down and watched 2-3 months of me or Sabi or whoever before you decide to change your lifestyle, right? So you've allowed yourself X amount of weeks or months or even maybe a year or more to soak in the information to the point where, okay, the 4 weeks that it takes for me to start to like this food, I have enough information about the benefit and the why and the longevity and all this other stuff to get me over the hump. Well, children don't have that. And so if you don't know how to explain it to them or package it to them, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you got to take care of your mom or your dad and they're in their elder years and they've already been conditioned a certain way. They've been eating how they've been eating, their whole life. If you don't know how to incrementally build up their taste buds for some different dishes, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble. You have to learn how to do that. That's a very important part of this whole thing. Right? Very important part of this whole thing.
Nervous?
Yeah, so this would be like probably 609 to 613, 614.
And do you let it affect your day if it's like a weigh-in that you don't like?
Yeah, it affects me every single time.
Right.
Sundays are the biggest day that affects me the most. So if I'm up on Sundays, I'm definitely a little down the rest of the week.
I noticed that there's 2 scales.
Yeah.
So is this because it doesn't register your weight?
Yeah.
And so that's a custom one?
Yes, that's the one that affects that folks who are above 700 pounds. So this goes to 750. This
okay.
goes to 450.
450, okay. All right, man, let's see. $607.4. That's less than you thought.
Yeah, that's huge.
Let's go, dude.
That's huge.
That's after the swim too, right?
Yeah.
It was great to see a boost of confidence after the weigh-ins. With spirits high, we got ready for our second workout of the day by digging into the pre-workout meal.
All right, buddy. Meal 2, what is it?
Yeah, so this is 8 ounces of chicken.
Okay.
And then 125 grams of potatoes.
It looks so tasty.
Yeah.
You're a chef, man.
It's way better than the other meals.
Sal is the real deal because we're eating at the gym.
Yeah.
So how much time do you spend at the gym every day?
Between 8 to 10 hours a day.
8 to 10 hours? You work out for 8 to 10 hours a day?
No. Well, I'm training probably 3 hours a day.
Okay.
And then I spend 5 hours here either playing chess or hanging out just in community, right? So for me, having a place that's safe to where there's a limited food environment allows me to have success in my weight loss journey. One time I brought some food in here that I wasn't supposed to bring in here. It got snatched from my hands. Like, it's snatched from my hands.
Those are real friends. That's real friends. Okay, let's put your meat in my mouth. Here we go.
Good shit.
So good. What are you training today?
Legs.
Of course, bro.
Aren't your quads huge?
I mean, yeah.
So I was in what's called diabetic ketoacidosis in March of 2023.
Okay.
Basically, I almost died from diabetes. My blood sugar was 343. My normal blood sugar is below 100. Diabetes is like above.
Yo, I ain't think nobody else caught that. Yeah, Will is wild. That was crazy.
100, 150, 100.
Okay.
My A1C was 13.8. Over the last 2 years, I worked really hard to get my A1C down.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's down. Over the last 150, 100.
Okay.
My A1C was 13.8. Over the 100, 150, 100.
Okay.
My A1C was 13.8.
Wow. $13.8 is crazy.
Myron! What? What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody reading no nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Well, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday 2 weeks. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. Inky. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. Inky books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even a, first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I'm not looking at the pictures. I got the books right here. I'm looking at the pictures. You know, it ain't nothing nasty about this. So what are you talking about? I got all the books right here. What are you talking about?
Myron, you don't even know how to read. Every time we get mail, you bring it to me. You think I don't know that?
I went to I got hooked on Phoenix. Now, what you talking about? I was hooked on Phoenix, so I know how to read.
As of when? As of when? Because first of all, hooked on phonics, I believe it's for kids. There's no such thing as hooked on Phoenix. And if I recall, you're the same person that thought reindeer was pronounced reinder, and you're the same person that thought pigeon was pronounced piggion. So it makes sense that you went to hooked on Phoenix.
Man, such a dumbass.
No,
you always trying to say somebody can't read. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. I'm reading the books. I got the book. I got the goddamn receipt right here. I got the goddamn receipt right here for the books. What you talking about?
Well, you need to return them for somebody who know how to read them. And I still don't. It's probably all type of stuff in the inside of the books, Myron. That's how sneaky you are. Give me the books. Give me the books, Myron.
Hell no.
Give me the books, Myron. Give me the books, Myron.
I'm not giving you none. I got these books off Amazon. I'm not giving you the books. Ain't that no.
Over the last 2 years, I worked really hard to get my A1C down.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's down.
So you have yet to see this.
Yeah, I tested it on Thursday. I did not open them at all.
Okay. So you can potentially see if you no longer have diabetes right now.
If I'm below the diabetic range, I'll always have diabetes.
Yeah.
But I'm below the diabetic range. 6.4. So we're under the range. That's huge.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, man. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Again, I was at 6.5 in January. So to go to be 6.4 is
That's huge,
yeah,
dude.
It's a lot. It's a lot for sure.
You should be so proud. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Be proud, man. Take your moment here.
Now, some of y'all watching this video. You need to slap yourself. Because I've had personal one-on-one conversations with some folks, right? And people have been told by their doctors, right, that they cannot get their A1C number down until they get to a certain weight. So I just want to be clear about this. You definitely need to lose fat. You need to lose weight to get your diabetes and, you know, all the. I'm not taking that off the table. But what I'm showing you is a man that is more than 600 pounds that has got his A1C number down from a 13.8 to a 6.4. Yes, he already lost 100 pounds, but he is still 609 pounds, 600 plus pounds, and his A1C is down to 6.4. So if you're at 300 pounds, you can do it. If you're at 400 pounds, you can do it. If you're at 200 pounds, you can do it. Like if you get nothing else from this video, if you get nothing else from this video, there is a man that you have now seen at over 600 pounds with a 6.4 A1C. Now, respectfully, I like for my folks to be under a 6. I like for my folks to be under a 6. You know, you get close to 5, that's where you need to be close to 5. You know, like a 5, you need to be below 5.5, close to 5, 5.1, 5.3. You know, you need to be, that's where you really want to be. Right? But this man is over 600 pounds and he's under 6.4. Right? And he's only exercising 4 days a week. You know, like this is impressive.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of work. Huge.
Oh yeah. You call him up?
Yeah.
This result was clearly a huge deal for Sal, and I could definitely tell he was holding his emotions in for the camera. Instantly, he began calling his family and friends who'd been with him throughout this entire process to share the big news.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You want to do chest? Like, you're only going to have this bench ROM for so long.
Let's go do legs.
Do you want to slap on the back or anything? Or
No, you're good.
No, okay. You want to slap on the butt or anything? Or?
Maybe.
Come on. Let's go. Yep. 3. Come on, Sal. Let's go.
Yeah, come on, come on. We're here now. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice and easy.
Woo! Fuck, I almost missed that re-rack, bro.
Yeah.
Shit.
You're right.
He was right there waiting for me.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? You can do one more set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? You done?
I got my spot here for one more. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Wow, this.
I don't know. I don't know what just happened right there. That was no comment. Like that was crazy right there. We just gonna, we just gonna move on forward.
19, 20. Let's get halfway. Rack. Rack.
15, 14, 13, 12.
36, 37. Come on. 38. Let's go. 39, 40. Good.
Fuck.
3. Come up. 2. 1.
Rack. Wait, one more.
Oh, sorry.
Rack.
After the workout, we unwinded with Sal's favorite hobby, chess.
So, you ever play chess?
Honestly, no. I went right from checkers to strip poker. Can we each get a bag of cucumbers?
Each get a bag of cucumbers.
This is like the weirdest. What?
Yeah.
The last time I was given a bag of these, I was applying for a job.
You gotta own it like this. Mm-hmm.
So we began playing chess, swallowing our cucumbers. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was having fun. I think Sal was letting me win. This was just time to unwind and forget about struggling. What matters is focusing on steady progress. If you stay consistent, you will eventually get there.
Nice.
One of the biggest things I've learned is that I was so fat for so long. And I couldn't do so much stuff. So like I have to realize that I can go to the grocery store. I can go for a walk. Like, you want to go Target later today? I've been freaking out about that mentally for like,
really?
Since you asked me.
Oh shit, really?
Like mentally I've been freaking out.
Yeah.
I've been like planning in my head, can I stay in the car somehow? Can I like, what will I say to Will to not have to go to Target?
Yeah.
Because like I'm scared, like, can I make it throughout the whole store?
Right.
Without needing a break?
Yeah. I know this is a pretty controversial question, but after just like going through it, do you think obesity is a choice?
Yes and no. Obesity is a product of disease. That's just how you're just predisposed. The choice lies within not choosing to get help. At the end of the day, the fork, the hand, has to go from the plate to your mouth. I would venture to say that most bodybuilders, most folks in the health space who are trying to get really big, have a massive food drive.
Yeah.
They've just developed ways in order to maintain their food drive.
That's true. Yeah.
And not get obese.
Yeah.
Right? How do they harness their quote unquote disease for success?
That's literally
me he's talking about right there. Not, I guess, not to like a bodybuilding level, but recognizing you got a food problem and incorporating your food problem into your lifestyle so that it's not something that controls you, it's something that you control, and you know you have the ability to avoid the downsides of your weaknesses. Y'all know what time it is, right?
Inky prayer number 2. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath, and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the most holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and our caves. Amen.
All right. We got to take it there. My thighs, my quads is like, yeah. My quads is singing. Quads is singing right now. Let's see, what did I do? All right. Now we're going to tap in a little bit to the Pump and Iron book. Right now, those that have been following, you know that our basic four, right? Our four core tenets have kind of stretched, right? They've stretched a little bit, right? So there was a weird space where, well, not a weird space. There was a time when our 4 basic core principles, our tenets, was our core 4, and that was that. But then there was like a little gray area where the 4 started to stretch like into 5, and it kind of slid into like 6. You know what I'm saying? Without us really acknowledging it. So now we just acknowledging, you know, that the 4 has kind of grown into 6. So on page 42, 4 plus 2 is 6. Interesting. Right, but on page 42, morning light, 60 and 60, vitamin D and vitamin K, 13 and 7 rule, that was our normal 4, right? But now we've added the prayer, right? And then we're making our, you know, well, I ain't gonna say we're making it, just kind of evolved, but the walking, right? Trying to get our 10,000 steps a day, right? That's kind of just growed into, right? Because remember, we just kind of like part of our culture, right? After you eat, you go get a little walking in, right? But sometimes my dog needs parenting. All right. So I want to go through some of these concepts, right? I want to go through some of these concepts, especially seeing as we have this guy, right? Where you at? Did you disappear on us? No. We need you to come on back. We need you to come on back and join the family. Right, here you go. Here you go. Seeing as we got this guy, we didn't get rid of this guy. We want this guy to hang out with us for a little bit. We want this guy to hang out with us for a little bit. Yeah, we want that guy to hang out with us for a little bit. Right? So remember, that's what visceral fat is. Visceral fat is fat that goes around your organs, right? So now here's like a mnemonic device for you in terms of sugar and fat, right? Because remember, fat is basically sugar storage, right? Fat is sugar storage, right? Where does sugar supposed to go? Into the muscles. But if you don't clean out the muscle, your body gotta, right? And typically, the most important place for you to utilize energy is the organs. So this is why exercise is so important, because your body's just going to start finding, like, literally the sugar will start growing on your organs, right? It'll start growing on your organs. So when we talk about ejection fraction, right? When we're talking about the ejection fraction, right? 60% of the blood, right? 60% of the blood coming out of the heart. Do you think that heart is capable of having a strong ejection fraction, right? Remember, the ejection fraction is just what it says. The fraction of blood that's ejected, right, out of your heart when it's pumping, when it's beating, right? The higher the number, the better, right? 70%, 80%, you lit. But you good at 60, right? You good at 60. You aight at 50. You aight. Like you probably not gonna fall on the ground right now at 50, but you need to turn that thing around. You need to get back on up to 60, 70, you know. 60 is the number, right? 60 is the number. 60, you good. Right? But I promise you this ain't doing it. Right? So right? What is this based on? Right? And we're going to probably be repetitive here, but it's cool. It's cool. What is this based on? Electricity. Right? Electricity. All of these things that we're going to discuss in terms of the heart is based on the heart's ability to produce electricity. Right? So, like, just think of the levels to it. Like, I'm going to just show you how it's important to just keep dropping the level down, right? We're just going to drop, right? So we go fat, right? Fat, muscle. Okay, boom, that's a level, right? We drop down, right? We're talking about ejection fraction. We drop down. We go, okay, yeah, that's electricity. Okay, well, how is the electricity, right? Oh, well, that's the cell membrane, right? That's the cell membrane. That's the atoms, the ions, the calcium, the sodium, right? The sodium, right? Sodium is one of the primary electricity creators, right? So when Sal's going through his medication, he says, I got to take this, for the sodium because I'm having an irregular heartbeat, right? So sodium is one of the primary, right? Calcium, sodium, chloride, right? And now they're just moving in and out of the cell. As they're moving in and out of the cell is generating voltage potentials, right? Voltage potentials, right? So we drop the top down, we go from the ions coming across to mitochondria activity, right? The cell voltage, right, is now stimulating and putting pressure or responsibility on the mitochondria. Now the mitochondria is producing electricity via its membrane, right? ATP, GTP to be recycled from electron cycling, right? Electron cycling, right? This is why your heart likes fat, right? So your heart likes fat, your brain is made out of fat, right? So we got to keep this in mind as we're thinking about the relationship of things, right? How things goes together, right? How things goes together. All right. Then you got stroke volume, Stroke volume, right? Stroke volume. This is the amount of blood pumped out of each ventricle per beat, right? Right, which is also 60. Which is also 60. So this is why this number is amazing. This number is amazing when you think about your heart health. 60. Right? 60. This is amazing. When you think about your heart health, this is the number. Ejection fraction, stroke volume. Right? Why? That's going to let us know how well right? Because we got to go 60,000 miles, right? Every 60 seconds. Right? Ejection fraction, 60%. Stroke volume, 60%. Even though it's not measured that way. Right? They say the ventricles fill with 100 milliliters, and a healthy amount is of stroke volume is 60 milliliters. Well, 60 milliliters of 100 is a 60%, right? Now we know the blood vessel, 60,000 miles. Your blood has to travel every 60 seconds, right? So this is the reason why. This is the reason why our goal, right? Because if you're healthy, right? If you're healthy, you have right? You have 60 heartbeats per minute. A healthy person, 60 heartbeats per minute. And most of us are not at 60 heartbeats per minute. So we got to get back to that. Like we got to do our cardio and our push-ups to get back to 60 heartbeats per minute, right? 60 breaths per minute, right? But this is the reason why we have the 60 and 60. This is the reason why we do the 60 and 60. I didn't arbitrarily pull this out of the sky, right? This is why years after we came up with our program, Harvard came with whatever they came with. But remember, we're basing what we're doing off of the pyramid text, off of the papyri, off of sciences that have been around 5,000 years. So for me, whether we're doing squats at 60 and 60 seconds or trying to get to 60 and 60 seconds, or the super gold standard, which will be able to do 60 pull-ups in 60 seconds, which I'm not even sure that's humanly possible. It's just about getting in tune, right? Getting in tune with the body's natural, right? I'm not even going to say rhythm per se, but in tune with how your body wants to produce electricity, wants to harness electricity, your body's normal rhythms, right? Your body's normal rhythms. This right here is one of the things that separates us from everybody else. Everybody else, especially for longevity, because what we're doing, let me show you what we're doing. Now, if you don't, you don't need to take notes of that, I guess, because you could just order the Pump and Iron book, right? The Pump and Iron book will come right to your doorstep, right? Get the book, go to Amazon, order Pump and Iron right now, right? This will be on page. All this stuff right here we're talking about is on page 44. Right? All this stuff is on one page, one little half a page, right? But this is what most people do, right? They do exercise, rep range goal, right? Exercise over rep range goal based on tissue. We don't do that. We do exercise over time base goal. For energy, right? Remember back, this was back when I was doing videos in front of the fireplace. I used to bring KT over my house. People didn't really even know who KT was at the time. And people just used to ask us different Dr. Sebi questions and some stuff I was still sharing with him. The acid alkaline question, that was real popular then, right? Because people were kind of ignorant. They're like, well, Sebi said no acid, so no acid, we can't, I'm like, y'all gotta relax. Sebi didn't know everything. He knew a lot. He was a visionary. He was ahead of his time. But he wasn't infallible, right? He was just trying to bring your conscious to a certain level, right? But the teaching, it took a long time for me to get people, and still there's pockets of people that still need, help. But in order to have an electric circuit, right? In order to have an electric circuit, right? Which is basically a basic electric circuit is where you have like a target. So like think of a light bulb, that's your target, right? We're just gonna make a fake light bulb. And then you got your wires, and then you got your power. Right? That's a fake little electric circuit right there, right? Well, the way your body is designed, right? The way your body is designed, alkaline or base, right? Alkaline or base, these are electron donors, right? So you can think of this as your power source, right? Now, because we kind of learned stuff like this in third grade, when Dr. Sebi was early on trying to put this idea in people's minds about the body being electric, we totally forgot the main difference between an electric circuit, like in school, like just setting up a little electric circuit, right? Versus our bodies, right? And then we got the American arrogance to add on to it, right? But we forgot the main difference. Well, what's the main difference, Doc? What's the main difference? The main difference is when we use electronics, when we're finished, we throw them in the trash. Yeah, we're forgetting that this battery, once this battery goes dead, once the light bulb, the filament busts, right? We just throw this in the trash and we get another one. Your body's not like that. So the main difference between using an electric circuit as an example versus a human body is you have to continuously rebuild this whole program right here. And that's where the acids come in. That's where the acids come in, right? Acids build the structure of the body, right? So in your body, your collagen, your muscles, your bones, all that stuff, your pigment, your proteins, all that, your hormones, right? All that stuff is built out of amino acids and fatty acids. Your brain, 60% fat, like all that stuff is made out of acids, right? So you have to consume both, right? And so in that space, it took me some time to help people get the distinction between the term acid and acid. Yeah, it sounds crazy. Acid and acid, right? Because there's acid like fatty acids, amino acids, and then there's acid like euphemistically referring to toxic food. Like, oh yeah, that's acidic, right? That's acidic. That's like we're using that as a slang to basically say like that's low quality food, right? So there's a difference that people needed to get between low quality food and amino acids that we need and fatty acids that we need to make sure that we have what our body needs to rebuild the circuitry, right? And then we put in the alkaline or the basic food, right? That's why we have the food basics book, right? If you don't have the food basics book, go to Amazon right now, look up Dr. Inky Food Basics, add that to your cart, check out, right? But that's why we have that book to really dig into this conversation so you understand that's what that's the electric relationship between an acid and a base, or an acid and an alkaline, right? An acid is going to donate protons. So it's going to send positive energy. We just say positive energy. This way, an alkaline is going to send negative energy, right? This way. That makes a circuit. That makes the flow of energy, right? Acids absorb electrons and send out protons. Alkalines or bases absorb protons and send out electrons, right? That creates a flow, right? That creates a flow because it's not electrons in and of themselves that represents energy, right? It's the movement, right? It's the movement. It's the circuit. It's the flow of current. It's the currency, right? So you have to have both, right? So that being said, when I looked at how everybody all around the world, right? They didn't get now this may just be because I'm Haitian, right? This may just be part like because I'm Haitian, right? So I grew up in the spirit world. You know what I'm saying? My dad, you know, you had to push my dad, but my dad a gangster from Harlem, so he got other ways of solving, you know, he had some other ways of solving problems. But my father's father, oh, he was one of them other guys. Yeah, he go right to the yeah, he'll go, yeah, he was, it was dead. So I grew up in the spirit world. So I understood early on the spirit world was just energy. Just energy. Simplify is just energy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say just energy. I'll say simplified is just energy. Right? So I realized that here we're talking about two different things. Here we're talking about two different things. Well, we're talking about an electric circuit, right? We're talking about two different things. We're talking about the circuitry itself, right? And then we're talking about the energy that goes through the circuit to make it do whatever it's supposed to do, right? Your body is designed like that, right? You got the flesh, right? The soil, right? You got the soil, the dust of the ground, right? Your cells, your tissues, glands, organs, bones, you know, you got that. But then you also have the electricity, the magnetism, and the light that animates it, that makes your heart beat, that makes your mouth speak, your mind think, you know, the thing that's making you, right? The energy part to your body, right? The flesh. And so I realized that everybody around the world, their exercise ideas were strictly based on the flesh part, right? The flesh part. Nobody's exercise programs was like geared towards the energy part, right? Except for military. And that's how I knew I was looking in the right direction. I was like, wait, so nobody's doing this timed? Huh. Just the people that make $1 zillion off of running and jumping and the military. Interesting. Interesting. It was like, okay, so yeah, that's what we need to be doing. Yeah, we need to. If they telling everybody to go this way, I'm like, yep, we probably need to go that way. So early on, that was my thing. I was like, no, we got to focus in on, you know, exercising based on, you know, based on a time. You know what I'm saying? And so my time, I just arbitrarily chose to synchronize that time with the heartbeat, because everything in the exercise depends on your heart and your blood, right? That's what the exchange between hemoglobin and myoglobin and, you know, that whole process, getting the pump, getting the blood in, the oxygen, the food, all that, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to go to that tempo then, right? That's the tempo, right? So that was the ideal, right? That was the ideal. And, you know, I ain't gonna say when God is guiding you, you know what I'm saying? For me, that's how I set my sail. But when you're going in the right direction, then things continue to line up and fall in the right, you know, you know, things continue to work out the way they're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Things continue to work out the way they're supposed to. So Yeah. But that's how that kind of evolved over time. Right. So now we're in a space where, you know, where the numbers have, you know, we have more numbers. Right. People love numbers. Right? We have more numbers. More numbers. You know what I'm saying? We get to analyze more relationships. Right? Numbers allow us to analyze relationships. Right? Right? And so as we move a little bit through the Pump and Iron book, hopefully you'll be able to see where some of these things have interfaces, right? Where some of these things have interfaces, right? Because as we are increasing heart rate, right? As heart rate goes up, right? This is just an example. As heart rate goes up, right? We're increasing blood flow, right? Blood flow goes up, right? As blood flow goes up, because the muscles are using more, right, energy, metabolism goes up. As metabolism goes up, remember, we only have 4 grams of sugar in our blood. Right? We got 4 grams of sugar in our blood, and then whatever glycogen we got in the muscles. Right? So at some point, if we're exercising, whatever the exercise is, at some point, we're going to burn through this blood sugar, and we're going to burn through that glycogen in the fast twitch muscle. Now, just like your body has to maintain that order set by the universe, that's 7.365, that pH, right? Your body has to maintain that blood sugar level. So because you're pulling from the blood all the sugar that your muscles is like, they just drinking like a hungry baby on breast. Because your muscles is drinking that sugar out of the blood, right? Your body has to turn around and get that from somewhere else because it has to replace, right? It has to replace. So now, right, and we'll get to this guy in a second, 7.365, right? 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We'll get to the pH in a second, but as the blood sugar drops, right? As the blood sugar drops, your body now has to turn around and start to grabbing wherever, subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, whatever, right? Your body doesn't discriminate. I mean, it kind of does a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It kind of does a little bit, but this is why, for the most part, you're going to get fat loss almost evenly distributed throughout your body because your body is now going to start to breaking down fats. So that's how the fats wind up dropping, right? The fats wind up dropping because now you have to start replenishing the sugar that you're using, right? But then you might still be working depending on what type of workout you're doing, how long, how intense, right? You might be digging into that, right? And then it lasts even after you stop exercising, right? Even after you stop exercising, your fast twitch muscles still trying to formulate glycogen to get back where they was at, right? And you can feel it in your mind. You can feel it in your mind, right? If you a little halfway cranky, if you like a little halfway cranky, you doing good. Just know, if you a little cranky, you doing good, because that means that you feeling a little withdrawal symptoms. If you running low on sugar, you feeling a little cranky, that's withdrawal symptoms. You need a little dopamine hit. Yeah, you need a little dopamine hit. You know what I'm saying? So, little tangerine. No, tangerine's only 50 calories. Little tangerine, nice and sweet. Woo! You know, get you out the way. A little apple, maybe. Apple's sweet, but they come with the fiber. So, you know, you get you out the way real quick with a little apple. You know, that just take off the edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't going to get you into a sweet spot, but it'll take off the edge a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But so fats is kind of like last to go. You know what I'm saying? So when people say they exercise and they're on a treadmill burning fat, they're not. They're burning sugar. But eventually, depending on how much sugar you're burning and what type of routine you're doing, you will dig into the fat. You will dig into the fat. But primarily exercising, you're burning sugar and water, and you're losing minerals. You're not burning minerals, you're losing minerals, right? You can't burn atoms. Your body don't get that hot, okay? You're not burning atoms, but they do come out your pores and your sweat, right? Now, as you're working, right, the other part, right, the spiritual part, right, the respiration, the breath, the respiratory system, that's kind of where this takes place at, right? Because as you're breaking down these sugars to feed the muscles, you're producing CO2, right? So that's one thing that is affecting your blood pH, right? You're producing CO2. So you got a high amount of CO2 you got to get rid of from the metabolism, right? But then you also have lactic acid from the muscles, right? So your lungs, your respiratory system has to carry a larger load, right? So your body's ability to efficiently get rid of carbon dioxide and recycle lactic acid depends on how well you can breathe, right? So this is where the VO2 max and the fixed equation comes into play, right? This is where VO2 max and fixed equation comes into play. All right, so I just wanted to tap that in real quick because I know people always ask, like, at what part of their exercise routine is fat burning happening? Probably none. Probably none, right? Probably none. But it's throughout the day, right? It's not none, but it's like it's throughout the day. And if you have a regular exercise, right, then you're burning fat continuously. Right? You're burning fat continuously, right? So say, for instance, you get up early in the morning and you go for a run, right? Or maybe you got to walk your children to different bus stops and you might get 2 miles. You might get 2 miles of walking in, hint, hint, wink, wink, just taking your children to the bus stop, right? So you got some momentum going already, right? Now, let's say you come in, you know, and instead of having anything else, you just have a hot tea in the morning, right? You have a little green tea, you know what I'm saying? Put a splash of that blue magic in there, your green tea, bam. That's gonna put something warm on your belly, but it's also gonna help to keep that burn going, right? It's going to help to keep them muscles clean, right? And help clear up some of that visceral fat, right? So then you get your little exercise in, whether you get some push-ups in or some pull-ups, or you actually do a real run or legs or whatever you do. You get your, 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours of real exercise in, right? Boom. Now you got a real condensed flush where you just flushed your body. The sugar's gone. You just beat your body up. Glycogen depletion, right? That's the key. Glycogen depletion, right? Now you hit glycogen depletion, melanin concentrating hormone. That's what triggers melanin concentrating hormone. You know what I'm saying? Besides cannabis, right? Or weed, But glycogen depletion. Now melanin concentrating hormone through the roof. So now you hungry, right? Now you hungry. How you handle that hunger is everything, right? How you handle that hunger is everything, right? If you're going to have some sugary stuff, combine that sugary stuff with some proteins, right? Combine that sugary stuff with some fiber. Combine that sugary stuff with some pigments. Make your body work for it, right? Make your body work for it. And because it should be 11, 12, 1 o'clock in a day, you should still have plenty of time left to get natural exercise in. That's why I tell people a dog is better than a treadmill. A dog is a better investment than a treadmill. Get out there with your dog 3-4 times a day. You lit. Because you can only do like resistance training, but so many times. You know what I'm saying? Like people that do that for a living only work out 10 times a week. Like a bodybuilder that's working out for a living works out 10 times a week, right? Maybe 12, right? 2 days, and then 1 or 2 days out the week, they rest totally, right? Now you got a job, you got a lady, you got a husband, you got children, you got mom, pop, grandpa, you got all these other things you got going on because you're not a professional bodybuilder. You're not getting 10 to 12 power workouts in. So you need to, you need to compensate, right? And keep your burn rate, keep your burn rate up, right? All right. Now, $4 grams of blood sugar. You got 4 milliliters of blood in your muscles per minute, right? That's what your muscle blood flow is on average, 4 milliliters per minute, right? Very important, right? Now, when you exercise, When you exercise, this number can increase by 50 fold, right? That's called the pump. This is the sweet spot. This is the magic, right? This is the pumping iron portion. Right? This is the pumping iron thing, right? This goes back to the ancient sages, right? The ancient sages was teaching pumping iron, right? You want to live a long time, you need to pump iron, right? And they wasn't talking about lifting weights. They was talking about increasing blood flow, right? Pumping the iron that's in your blood, hemoglobin, pumping hemoglobin, right? Pumping hemoglobin. That's longevity. When Damo taught the early martial arts that he came up with from Kemet in India to the Asians, right? That's what the focus was. The focus was on getting in, retaining more breath, utilizing more breath, VO2 max. What we know of today is VO2 max. That's what they were teaching back then with the science of the breath, right? Getting in deeper breaths, using the diaphragm to get in deeper breaths, holding the breath so you metabolize more breath, right? Utilize more breath, oxygen, right? And then be able to work on specific types of movements and exercises to get the blood flow through the body, right? To get the blood or the sekhem or the chi, right? To flow through the body, right? That's blood flow, right? That's blood flow, pumping iron, right? And it's because the more you exercise a particular muscle group, the higher the rate of blood per minute, right? Per 60 seconds. So remember, 60,000 miles in 60 seconds is average, right? But it increases. It increases as you exercise. And guess what happens as you get fatter? As you build up fat, visceral fat, and you get fatter, it slows down. So literally, your health goes with your ability to pump iron. That's why we have this here. Your health goes with your ability to pump iron. Right? Yeah, your health goes with your ability to pump iron. So that's where, you know, okay, I think, yeah. I don't want to get, I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to get too crazy.